Now they can see you, Mr. KronOz. We are live. Everyone is watching. Shout out all the people who stuck with us. Y'all are wonderful. All of you out
Thank you.
there on the Twitch world. Well, Mr. KronOz, welcome to Bridge the Gap. My name is Holden Stephan Roy, and this is basically the show where we talk to super interesting people such as yourself, and we walk through your life, and we learn about you, extracting knowledge nuggets from your experience. So, in order to set off the journey right, it's a little bit important for you to let us know where you come from in like the beginning parts of your life.
Let me move this camera a little bit. There we go. Well, my name is Justin. I go by the name of KronOz in my music. So, I came from Hobbs, New Mexico. I've spent my first 21 years of life there, doing a little bit of everything. I'm a
Amazing.
hobbyist. I like doing things. I like getting out, moving, doing things. I've raced motocross. I played baseball my whole life, football,
We're gonna
basketball.
run through that proper. Trust. So what's important is that we start the story in New Mexico. Now, I have a little bit of a token opening question I like to drop. I guess the ball a little bit rolling. Involves my girlfriend, so it's a little bit of a story. When it lands, you can kind of take it in whatever direction, and we're gonna start exploring your life a little bit. So starts with my girlfriend. She's washing the dishes. She's got her phone out and she's playing that Black Eyed Peas song. I got a feeling. Ooh, ooh. She's like bopping around and she's like dancing and she's like doing her thing. And I'm thinking about it, right? Like, yo, this song is now like dishes music. That's like chores music. That's like the exercise music. And I'm thinking about this song, right? Because I remember vividly 10 years in my past when this was like the club music. This was like the hot song at 3 in the morning that had us all jumping in circles, super drunk and stuff. And I'm like, wait a second. Once upon a time, it's club music. Now it's dishes music. And that was like this big like epiphany for me about how a single song can travel throughout your life with you and evolve its purpose and its role in your life. So it starts off in a place, and then it basically ends up in this whole new destination that you repurpose it. So it's like, yo, once upon a time, that's the club. Now when you want to go back to the club for the boring, you put on the same music. So it's like, yo, if you think about all the kids partying to Cardi B right now, the little ones, they have no idea that they're just going to be washing dishes to this shit one day. And then I found out people's already washing dishes to Cardi B and all that because it's already chores music if you're old enough. So it made me realize, like, that changes within us as we get older and repurpose how the music fits into our life and whatnot. And so it's like we're all on these journeys with the music, and it's always changing over time. And the thing about these journeys is when we talk about them, and most times we start off in that adolescent phase when we're forming our identity and we pick our first favorite everythings, etc. But like, that's not really like the start of the story, right? If you think about music and sounds and everything, it starts like right away. Like, you come out and technically it starts. You're already hearing things that are around you because of your environment. So as an example, like, I can remember being like 3-5 years old, like real young, and my dad has all these gray boxes, the amplifier, the radio, the fucking tape deck, and everything's got the wires attached to each other, like linked up to the speakers and whatnot. It'd take him like 20 minutes to set it up when we moved into the new place type thing. And then I remember him busting the Led Zeppelin tapes and whatnot. I remember at night it was the 90s techno music that was bumping around in the clubs. I remember my mom's was a little less interesting with the discos and the musicals, but that was also around all the time. I heard that Grease soundtrack so many times. And then like just like one more, like at Christmas time we had like these EDM remixes to fucking Christmas bangers, and it was only ever played Christmas Day. So I guess with like all that as like a kind of like context setter, I was hoping you could run us back to the youngest KronOz you can remember and tell us a little bit what it was like to sound like being you. And keep in mind, I'm up in Montreal. I don't know fuck all about New Mexico. So you can like bring us back to when you're young, what it sounded like to be you, and we can kind of walk through a little bit growing up in New Mexico, but definitely let's start with, you know, the world of the musics and whatnot in your very youngest ages.
Okay, well, yeah, starting off with music, it's kind of a real diverse, eclectic of things that I listen to. Somehow, the first thing, I guess I'll start off with me making hip hop, kind of what inspired me and what I enjoyed hip hop as
Now you
at
gotta
my
run it.
youngest phase.
How young is that?
Probably like 8 years old, so 7, 8 years
You'll
old.
run it back even earlier. When you were like
E-
5, like what were your parents bumping?
When I was 5, it was riding with my dad. I mean, he liked to hunt. We'd go track. I mean, I'd go with them. We'd go camping, hunting, things like that, trekking through like the sand dunes and the desert in New Mexico, a bunch of small mesquite trees and mesquite bushes and things. And
Yo, hold up.
he'd always listen to
Y'all would go through the desert and shit?
yeah. Cause over here in New Mexico, I mean, not like a cartoon where you're walking through the desert, desolate, there's nothing around, but kind of similar. I mean, there's a lot
It's
of
kind
sand
of
dunes around here.
so like Breaking Bad is legit. That's what it looks
Oh yeah,
like.
Breaking Bad is actually like 4 hours from where I grew up, 4 or 5 hours from where I grew up, and I've actually been to some of those places. Like we'll get to that later whenever we get through the story and down the left because that was fairly recent. But yeah, whenever I was younger, 4, 5, 6 years old, I remember riding an old Chevrolet pickup truck with my dad and going places with them, go hunt, shoot, camp, whatever. And he'd always jam out Leonard Skinner, Simple Man. So I always remember Simple Man, and we'd listen to the greatest hits and the things like that. And that's what sticks out to the most, remembering back there as far as a music setting.
So like music wasn't the most prevalent focus in your life when you were really young?
No, not at all. No, I mean, it was more just kind of what I heard on the radio. Like when I was that young, it was probably more like listening to like hearing Garth Brooks on the radio. My dad jamming Leonard Skinner. My mom listened to Kiss, but I didn't find that out until later because she's a real quiet person. Doesn't really, she don't really like listen to music even of that sort anymore. It's more like kind of real vocal singing, kind of more like gospel type stuff, I guess nowadays.
That's super nifty. Everybody answers this question differently. So some people are like full on playing music by 5, and some people are like, bro, I didn't even give a shit till I was 23. So it's always just fun to bring it back. But yo, even with the hunting and the dunes and whatnot, like that's just a whole different environment, like than Montreal's wannabe concrete jungle with trees. It's like New York with trees. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Um, but like, what else were you up to when you were young before you got into music? Were you into drawing and stuff? Like, what kind of extracurriculars does a little person in New Mexico get up to, really?
Extracurriculars for me ever since I was old enough to recollect anything has always been sports, man. I mean, I got into it young and I stuck with it my whole life, even up until, recently I still play. I mean, nothing serious, but still do stuff. But yeah, back then it was starting out t-ball, baseball, football, basketball as early as 4 or 5 years old. And I mean, we'd go skiing. I learned how to ride a motorcycle with my dad whenever I was like 6, 7 years old, something like that, out there in the desert, kind of like desert racing and enduros and things, like climbing up mountains and stuff with a motorcycle and going through big whoops and dunes and sweeping sand turns and things of the sort like that.
And you're doing that at like 7.
Yeah, I learned how to. It started out small with a little 80cc motorcycle riding through the sand. I was probably about 11 or 12 until I started doing like enduro type, desert racing type things, to where actually a little more dangerous. But I'd go out there and like learn how to ride in the sand and things like that with my dad when I was like 7, 8 years old, something like that.
No, that's seriously hype stills. I mean, just the idea that you had access to like a motorcycle under the age of 10, like that's like, I'm from the kind of place where you go, well, driving licenses have age limits, right? So it's like,
Yeah,
and you're like, fuck that. I'm from the place where at 8 years old, you on motorcycles in the desert. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's so different. That's so cool stills.
yeah. Two different worlds.
Wow. I must have been like I don't know. I'm just trying to think about it. Like, y'all did races and stuff. This is just part of the culture. Like, everybody's up to this, or is it more like an underground thing?
Nah, more underground, kind of like we would basically on the weekends, and it was like a Wednesday and on the weekend type thing. We'd load them up on a trailer, drive about 25 miles or so down the highway out there, and in between, because we have like smaller towns like set into where I grew up. Back then it was like 25, 30,000 people. Now it's 50,000 people there in the town. And it's a lot of like kind of in a really small town, 500-600 people, a couple thousand people here and there spread out in different places around the local area. And then up to where I'm at now, which is an hour and a half away, you got about 150, 200,000 people. So yeah, we'd go out in the middle of nowhere, and there might be 5 or 10 other people out there riding too, but I mean, it's not nothing like big and.
Nah, but you guys are small town like that. It makes more sense. That's fucking. It's still cool. Like we're learning these little secrets to the story behind KronOz like that. So you said around that same age you started to get into hip hop a little bit more. How did you get like exposed to that? Being in New Mexico, riding around on motorcycles and hunting.
And the funny thing about it is people that have never, especially the further you get away from New Mexico, we have people here in the States that literally don't know New Mexico is a state. It's right in between Arizona and Texas. And a lot of people say, "Oh, you speak really good English from being from Mexico." I say, "Yeah, it's because I'm not from Mexico. So I'm from New Mexico. It's a state." But that's, I guess, growing up there, it's actually a real diverse culture right there. I mean, a lot of different styles of people because everyone moves there because there's a lot of oil field work there. So it's
Okay.
Economically, people move there from all over the world. I mean, and it's the same place. I'm an hour and a half now on the Texas border, which adjoins to where I'm at growing up. And but people move here from Pennsylvania, from Africa, from Asia, California. I'm sure there's people from Canada that live in New Mexico and Texas to work in the oil field.
Absolutely sure of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy how many people you meet, and it's just a real diverse culture. So I mean, that's something I always say I'm blessed to grow up that way, especially playing sports. I mean, I got the wide range of life, man, and that's how it all started. Growing up playing sports, even in elementary school, I started listening. Got a cassette listening to Bone Thugs, and I played Eternal 1999 since I was like 9 years old, something like that. And my parents hated hip hop music, so I'd sit in there. I'd lay on the floor with a little boombox and a tapes sit there, play, and sit there and lay down at my grandma's house with it barely turned on, listening to it like that.
It's just like sneaking that Bone Thugs.
The crossroads, what? What does that mean? Where are we going?
That's just that might be like you could maybe get away with it. Like maybe if you're not really listening, like it's a gospel song.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, to this day, that's my mom. She supports everything I do. So she just always tell me she listens to my music. Say, I just don't like you cussing, but she actually likes that song. That's one of the few rap songs that she enjoys to listen to. Because as a teenager, I'd play my music in the car and she'd turn that off and now listen to something else. If it's cussing, we can't listen to it. And then, but she'd listen to that song and she still likes it to this day.
Yeah. My mom was like that with Ride With Me by Nelly. No cussing, but when Ride With Me came on, it was, told my dad to shut up for a second. We're going to play that song. So you got exposed to the Bone Thugs like that, and you just bump into that. And at that time in life, is it easy for you to get access to new music? Like, how is it really the friend network? Like, how does somebody at 9-10 years old in New Mexico get like tapped into a world? Is it radio, TV?
A little bit of everything, and it's hard to even remember exactly kind of the specifics back then of everything. But I know, we had back then, probably a little bit older, was like BET. They'd play the ciphers and the basement and whatnot. 106 in Park. I'd hear that. That's probably like 11, 12 years old. So I'm start having more TV shows with it. They had a local hip hop show that they'd do hip hop on once a week, because in New Mexico, it's not a main genre that they play on the small town radio. It's mostly country, classic rock, things of the sort. But they'd have once a week they'd play hip hop, and then on Fridays they'd play hip hop. Saturdays they'd play slow jams. Old school, you could call in requests and stuff and say, "Hey, I love you. Let me listen to Jagged Edge."
That's amazing.
Something of the sort.
Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. They had like this soft rock version of that shit going on in Montreal, and my mom used to play that shit for real, and then people would call in and do their corny dedications and then like request these cheesy songs. But at least Jagged Edge had some edge to it.
Yeah. Jagged Edge, I think we used to go to the skating rink as probably around 12 years old, and that was this thing, everyone would hold hands and go skate in a circle for one dance song or something a night. They'd play something, and they'd play like a Casey and JoJo or something, and go ask a little girl, "Would you go skate with me?" They'd put a disco ball on and turn the lights off and go skate around on the roller rink.
Yeah, that's blessed. So it's like actual skates or like roller skating?
Yeah, like roller skates, like the four wheels and roller skating. Lace them up, tie them up.
Yeah, that shit's actually super litty. I did that once or twice as a teenager, and like it is an underrated experience that people should go for. But it's cool that they did that.
Yeah.
That's like the high school dance shit. Like,
Hmm.
that's amazing. No, for real, it's amazing to hear that kind of stuff and just to see what different people do. So when you're like that young with it, are you like just like a fan of it, like you're just kind of consuming it, or do you start to develop this desire to like create your own hip hop at a certain point?
Well, it's a weird journey for me because I'm now speaking. I'm 33 years old. Um, I didn't create my first hip hop song until I was 32.
Straight up.
Yeah, I
Yo, so,
started last April.
all right, so what were we doing back then when you were 12 or 13? Is it still sports at that point that's like running it?
I mean, even to the age of like 12 years old, 11, 12 years old, we lived outside of town, like on the outer edges of the city limits. I mean, not a huge town, so I mean, you could drive from one side to the other about 15 minutes. But we're out there on the edge. We had an elementary school about maybe 2, 3 miles from my house. So sometimes I'd skip the bus and sit there and have a little Walkman and old cheap pair of headphones, and I'd sneak around, look around, because I mean, you're supposed to get on the bus. I'd go over there, sneak out the backside of the playground over there on the backside, and start walking through a deserted field and walk 2 or 3 miles to the house, listening to. Back then they had the CDs that were like they called them singles. They usually had a song and an instrumental, and I remember one of them was "Soak the Shocker" was one of them. Somehow I got a hold of that because Walmart sold edited CDs, so I was able to get the. My mom would buy me those, but you'd have to go to like a Hastings, Blockbuster type thing, or not Blockbuster, like Hastings or like a Mr. Goodies or a CD store, like record store type thing to get the raw cut thing.
And so you just kind of like walk out and vibe out to the tracks, or?
Oh yeah, yeah. I just walk around listening to music. I mean, because that is an interesting interlude to kind of how things tie in now. I mean, people are like, well, that's cool. Like we never knew you made music. I mean, we always know you loved it because I mean, my whole life that's what I'm centered around music. I listened to music before I got ready for. I mean, matches and wrestling or getting ready for a fight. I always had my headphones on, listening to music before
If you
football
were doing
games.
wrestling, all of this?
Yeah, I wrestled in high school. It's like a collegiate style wrestling, not like a TV wrestling, but like
No,
collegiate
no,
style
like
wrestling.
like the Olympic shits, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I did that in high school.
That's
It
fucking dope.
yeah, it was a late transition in high school because the little town I came from. Fun fact about Hobbs, New Mexico, we it's a huge basketball town, middle of the desert, and a town in New Mexico. It's really weird, but I mean they won 17 state championships, and one of their coaches won an ESPY. But the arena is named after a guy named Ralph Tasker. He won an ESPY award, which is a big sports award over here, and then also, I mean, it was on like ESPN's top 10 places to ever watch a high school basketball game, fifth place in the nation to go and watch a basketball game.
That's serious. That must have been good for tourism.
Yeah, so everyone loves basketball, and that's kind of weird enough how I got into wrestling because I was a I don't like to sound conceited or cocky. I'd say I was a good football player. I was a good football player, and I like basketball, but I wasn't near as good. I'm only 5'11" and kind of big framed, so I'm not necessarily built for basketball.
Right.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. I played it for a while, and then in 10th grade, I say, you know what, it served me better to transition from basketball into wrestling, and then that'll help me out with football. And I did that, and then really enjoyed wrestling as well. And got just my second year, my senior year, got seated third in the state in 189 pounds. So kind of picked up quick, and the wrestling kind of helped me transition into, or football helped me transition into wrestling. So
You were like third in the state, you said?
yeah, and we actually, even though we're in a small town, I mean, we only had one high school, so they're like about 600 people in each graduation class. So we're going against schools like Las Cruces and Albuquerque, like the bigger cities, the bigger towns. So we're what they consider 6A over here. So yep. I was happy with the progression.
You were the third best wrestler in your state at that time for your high school division. That's what I understood.
Yeah, I ended up placing sixth, but I was seated third going into the tournament at the end of the year.
Oh, okay. So like that meant that they assumed you were third best based on XYZ, and then you actually played
Yeah.
sixth. You know
Yeah.
what? Being the sixth best wrestler in New Mexico is still pretty fucking blessed. There's a lot of New Mexico wrestlers, I imagine.
Yeah, it was fun. I think we had 30, 40 some odd schools, and 16 qualified for the tournament. Top six place in medal, and they seed you 1 through 16 based on record, opponents, blah blah blah, things of the sort.
Yo, that's mad nifty stills. So you're basically a high school athlete of accolade level, accolade things. I don't know about trophy. That's an accolade. Fuck it, it's an accolade. What else do you do at that time in your life? Are you into like writing or any other kind of creative passions?
I mean, back then, not really, not a whole lot. Like I enjoyed I sketched a little bit, but I was terrible at drawing. I mean, I like playing around and like thinking through it in my mind, drawing, painting, stuff like that. But I never was good at it, so I never focused on it too much. But mostly sports kind of consumed my life because I mean, I guess I played ran track and field, and football, wrestling, and then baseball year round. So kind of kept me pretty busy. I mean, I'd listen to music and I'd sit in there and I'd freestyle. I'd hear like an instrumental or something, and I'd freestyle a little bit and kind of just sing by myself, and not too much in front of people until I got a little bit older, like college age, and sometimes I'd spit a few bars here and there.
And that's where like you could have those instrumental single tapes, so you could be walking around busting your little private freestyles because you had the beats to do so.
Yeah, just kind of basically like one those little singles. Yeah, one instrumental, one song, and just kind of mess around. And usually it was pretty terrible, but I mean it was fun. I still enjoyed it.
I mean, I've heard every single human I've talked to say my early shit's terrible. So I don't know if it really was or if that's just how you remember it.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of both. I mean, I'm sure there's glimpses here and there of both good and great.
Yo, because sometimes that young shit has this like passion and rawness to it that we can never recreate as adults, even if it's not as good. Maybe just the way you spit the shit was different, or like I'd be curious to hear it. I know it doesn't exist, but I'd be so curious to hear that. But that's still cool.
I'd be curious to tap into it.
So we have this young KronOz who can bust some freestyles on the low, who's an athlete hero and is banging out life in New Mexico. And sports takes over because I guess there's not a lot else to do in your place. Like I guess there's not like a whole bunch of bands coming through your crib and you got to go hours to a big city type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the only time I ever really remember any kind of concerts or anything coming through there, I don't know. You remember West Side Connection, like Mac 10, and I remember Mac 10 came to the Lee County Event Center in Hobbs when I was 12, and of course I really wanted to go. My parents said no, and you ain't going. Someone's gonna get shot there, and I think someone might have.
That's amazing.
Got into a fight because Hobbs is, I guess, close enough to the border. Even though with it being such a small town, it's a fairly rough place to kind of grow up. You go to house parties, it's not off the norm for someone to get shot in the head or get stabbed or something at a high school house party or something like that sort.
Like for real?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's like not what you're expecting. Is it like open carry in New Mexico?
Yeah, it's open. It's open carry as well over in New Mexico, but you can do it without a. I think they've been working on changing the law a little bit, but I think before you could open carry, but that usually wasn't a big issue. It was more people obtaining them illegally, stealing them, and things of the sort.
Damn. Well, I mean, it's mad different, right? I was just thinking about open carry just like earlier today. I'm like, yo, it is the farthest thing from open carry in Montreal. There's no carry. It's to the point where if we're talking legally, if you own a gun, you got to keep it in a safe and the bullets in the next safe, as in 2 safes. And then you got to put that motherfucker in your trunk. And then you have to take a fucking specific route that is pre-picked for you by the government to the appropriate gun range. And if you deviate from that route, big trouble with the 5-0s. And then you can go shoot your gun at that range. And like that. Or you're hunting.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's like, man, there's almost like no valid reason to own a gun in Montreal. That like legal valid reason. Right. And it's like, so like I was thinking, I'm like, shit, imagine a world where like people can just cop guns but like walk around with the guns because that's allowed. Like you see when you're growing up, are there just people with guns around? Like I'm just asking because I was never really thought about open carry until like today.
Yeah, it's even though it's legal, it's not real prevalent. You won't see it very often. You might like a day to day basis. I don't ever see anyone really carrying a gun. Even especially now. I mean, it's every now and again you'll go somewhere, but I mean, there's still stores you can't carry them in, even though it's legal to carry them on your person. But they have a legal sign on the saying you can't have it, then you can't come in the store with it. You have to leave it in the vehicle, basically put away where it's out of sight.
Mm.
But yeah, you'll see it every now and again. You'll see someone has a holster on their hip or something with a sword, and they'll be carrying a pistol with them.
I'm not even gonna lie. If I was up in New Mexico and I saw it for the first time, it would trip me the fuck out. Like I would do like a triple take. I'd be like, "Oh fuck me, eh?" Like that's a real thing.
Doing?
We ain't in Canada no more.
Ain't in Kansas no more, Toto.
Nah, but I mean, cause even like the northern shit, it's not so prevalent. You know, like it's more of you got to go down south to really find that, according to what I remember from Google.
Yeah.
I'm not pretending like my fucking U.S. geography and knowledge of state law is up to anything.
Oh, I'm sure mine isn't either, and I live here.
So like, what happens for you after high school then? What do you go on to do? Look at this, like KronOz is famous in 10 years. Somebody's got to find the story of KronOz.
I don't know if they want to listen to it.
No, they do, man.
No,
Yo, trust, there's still 9 people fucking riding. Like, nobody's leaving. They're interested.
nice. Hey, well, whoever's there, I appreciate it. I can't see it on here, but hey, I like everyone. Love everyone. I try to respect everyone. I appreciate the support and people interested in hearing the crazy things I got to say. But
They're definitely interesting.
I'm sure you carry a lot of that on there too, because you've been great so far, leading the blind.
All I gotta do is keep you talking. That's all.
There we go. But yeah, I guess after high school, I mean, and that's a weird thing too. I mean, I was into sports and that was my main focus. But we had, like I said earlier, we had about 600 people in our graduating class, and then I actually graduated in the top 10% of my graduating class. And,
Yeah, brag that academic shit.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and pat myself on the back because I mean, not too many people can do both. So I tried to. I was blessed with I got a big head. I wear a 7 3/4 and a fitted hat. So at least back then there's something in it. I don't know if there is or not anymore, but yeah. But back then, I mean, it helped me get through. I went into school because I mean, over here, I don't know how it is in Canada, but over here, college is a little bit expensive. You kind of got a thing you got to save up for, plan for, of the sort. But
You definitely can do a lot more on a whim here. It's like our entire college could be like 1 year for you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice.
So you're prepared for college then? Like, what's that like, going through that process? Nobody talks about this shit. So for me, I'm like, fuck, the guy's in New Mexico and he went to college. Let's fucking break it down. What's U.S. college?
It's pretty interesting, and we can keep rolling with everything and see where we end up today. Because I tell people a lot of times the only reason the guy for Dos Equis got the job is because I was too damn busy doing nothing.
It's amazing.
But yeah, from there I kind of went to I went to school and was gonna try to get a doctor's degree in pharmacy.
Oh, that's sick.
So I played basketball for fun on the side. I mean, I say I wasn't great at it, but I still intertwined myself in it. I worked 2 jobs. I managed a swimming pool in New Mexico for the city as a Hobbs over there. I managed a swimming pool and then worked at the college as like the student services. We planned events. We helped plan events. We ran the game room, things of the sort like that. So I'm always listening to music there. We planned dances with DJs and things. So get to do a little bit.
That is a very handy skill set for a rapper to be having here. How to fucking plan an event and pull off some shit is all I'm trying to say. But that's also an interesting thing that can tie out to that knowledge nugget shit, yo. Because, like, one of the things that keeps me employed at my day job is the synergy between my ability to maintain my life outside of work based on the ability to practice shit in an environment that is not my life. And that's kind of what, like, planning events for whatever you were, school or whatever it was, sorry. Like, it kind of plays into the same thing. You run through the motions, you develop the checklists, you start to understand what to watch for, but more importantly, you see what the fuck happens when fuck-ups happen and how to fucking deal with that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not
it was more like a it was interesting the way it was too, because it was all school functions. So I mean, I definitely won't take any credit for any of the major stuff. Is basically I got my sidekick. I was working 20 hours a week there, making a few extra bucks to help pay for my books and pay for food and stuff and whatnot. So it was kind of,
You could have also
man,
not been doing that. And that's
oh
where it's
yeah,
interesting, because at 32 or whatever you start rapping, and maybe if you're not sitting there event planning involved with musics and whatnot with youth, like young people, so you're seeing the impact of this. Do you get to go to the events, or are you like behind the scenes?
no, I was at the events because that's kind of, I mean, it almost, I wouldn't say, it was a college dance. We didn't have security, but I kind of, I mean, help the guy that organized it with. I mean, kind of run the door, help go. Sometimes I help with the DJ a little bit, or just kind of oversee the events and kind of the flow of the night and things. So,
So yeah, it's
and
definitely huge. So you're seeing the impact of music on crowds, on people,
oh yeah,
and
that was
social
a
dynamics.
lot of fun to me.
Yeah, did you get to see anything wild, wild? Was anything crazy going down at some of these parties that you can talk about? I don't know. Sometimes people have great stories here.
So these are hearsay. I mean, theoretically speaking.
Always.
No, I mean,
It's
there
alleged.
was just to, I guess, put things in a weird, long perspective, and I won't go too in depth into it. But yeah, there was time. I mean, he'd let us, he'd kind of turn a blind eye and we would pour a little bit of whiskey in the mixing with the soda while we're working up there and at the dances and stuff. Have a few drinks. But there was one night, I was dating a girl at the time. I said that things in Hobbs and New Mexico in general they're kind of rough in times. There's what you see at gangs. We had Sodanos, we had Bloods, we had Crips, and sort of there. So sometimes people would intermingle. I mean, people would go chase the college girls, so they'd show up to the campuses, the dorms, and things, or show up to these
Mm.
dances and whatnot, hang out. And some, I mean, people that play sports there, they interact outside of the college from wherever they're from in the world.
I highly
So
respect you. I don't want to get too deep into that. I highly respect that. I'm like, he dropped some buzzwords where I don't want to get too deep into that no more.
yeah.
That's serious stills, man. That's like a very different environment. And I guess you get to see how to manage that and how to be in that kind of context. So it toughens you and all that shit too, right? Because you got to keep going back to it.
Yeah, I like to. The biggest thing, and I say in my personal life, my personality, my music, sports, everything, it's always been a melting pot. Everything has
Mm.
been real diverse, and I've experienced a lot. I've met famous people, hung out with rich people, I've hung out with the snooty, popular kids, and I've also spent time with, I mean, Slodanos. I mean, at their house, sleeping in a trailer with no heat, no electricity, almost on the weekend. Not often, but I mean, do the same thing. I've experienced it. I've been around it. I've been
Mm.
different social cultures and whatnot. Probably been to at least 30, 40, 50 quinceañeras, which is kind of like a traditional Spanish thing. I mean, Hispanic for the Mexicans. They've once you turn 15, it's basically like the movage of the what I want to say, the rites of passage of
Right.
becoming an adult for a young lady. So they have a quinceañera. It's either they buy the girl like an expensive car or throw this huge extravagant party they spend $20,000-$30,000 on sometimes for like a dance or a party for a 15-year-old girl.
Yo, it's just a bar mitzvah for
Yeah,
them.
yeah, basically, exactly. And it's
And I respect
and
it.
in the Mexican culture, I mean, that's where I grew up with a lot. I mean, 'cause in New Mexico, there's a lot of Mexican people. So, I
This
mean, we
makes
go to
sense.
these, they cook a lot of good Mexican food, and then they go. I mean, and it's not out of the normal to go. I mean, go to a party like that, and 13-year-old teenagers are over there drinking beer out in the open with the adults. No one cares. No one bats an eye. But you go anywhere else at that age over here, then I mean, it's a huge deal. You can't go to bars, can't go to clubs, you can't buy it. Go to parties, you're gonna get busted, maybe arrested by the cops. So, but you go to that. I mean, as a 16, 17-year-old kid, you could walk in with the vodka or fit the rum or something in a 30 pack, and no one bats an eye.
That's serious. Yeah, we're like the exact same age, right? So I can like parallel this shit back to my life and how boring it was. Nah, but I mean, don't get me wrong. Everything that you said exists in some way in Montreal. I was just not exposed to any of it. I was not very cool in high school, so I didn't get to go party a lot. I found out later there was some serious like party opportunities I could have been involved in, given where I went to high school. But no, I didn't do any of that. But also just to think of the way that the cultures are treated so differently, and how it's almost like allowed is like, it's just one of those things you don't really consider a lot. How if you go into a Mexican cultural area, it's like certain norms are just so drastically different than if you go into the other part of town, and how like almost segregated culturally speaking that can almost create an environment. Like, I don't know, that to me is mad different, but like it's probably a real thing that's more prevalent everywhere else, right? Like,
it really is. And this, I mean, that, so, well, segregation has ended and things like that. I mean, and it wouldn't, but it is weird to see like the towns you go to, because almost every town you go to, there's always certain areas you'll find certain people. That's how, even in Hobbs, that's how it was. The central town, the north of town, it's a mix of everyone. I mean, the east side, it's a mix of everyone everywhere, but I mean, predominantly that's what you think of. You go to the east side, you get the African American people on the east side, the Hispanic people on the south side, and then the rest of the city's kind of mixed a little bit more. But that's predominantly, that's the majority over there in those sides of town. I mean, I spent plenty of time hanging out on the south side. I hung out all over the city. They're everywhere, and just different times, different people. I mean, cause, yeah, my friends, kind of wide range of people all over the place, different
you definitely
personality,
seem like,
interests.
I feel like you just attract everybody and everybody likes you. You just have that kind of energy.
Sometimes.
That's amazing.
I'm sure there's a few people that don't like me, but
Willie wants to know about where the indigenous people at. We have mad communities in New Mexico. Were you bopping around with the indigenous communities at all?
I'm worked up in a little bit later. I'm actually into college, kind of how I got there after college. I guess I'll give a short tidbit, but I'm not going to go into it since it's on recording again. But
that's off-camera stories, Willie. Off-camera stories.
yeah, definitely lots of off-camera stories we could go into. But yeah, this one kind of I made a bit of a mistake whenever I was 21 years old, second year of college. I'm working to get a doctorate degree. At the same time, like I said, I like to party. I like to listen to music. I like to have fun. So, I mean, back then I used to smoke and whatnot, and I used to also make a little bit extra money doing that, and then other party favors and things. And then until one day my luck ran dry, and that kind of got me into a big stink. But anyhow, I ended up working from there. Whenever I went to jail for a little bit, and lucky not to have to go to prison. But went from there and went to Ruidoso, New Mexico, where they have an Apache territory up there. Apache Indians and the indigenous people up there, and we so I made some friends there, and just I was mostly working. I was kind of running wireline, putting in telephone poles, running lines above ground, underground, out in the mountains up there. And then now, so I mean, they have some different communities up there. I think Apache indigenous people around there, the Navajos, I think, have some in the similar areas, but yeah, they're more. There's more indigenous people, I'd say, probably a little bit further in northern New Mexico than southern New Mexico.
Okay.
But close to us, and in my experience, I mean, I was able to interact a little bit with some, like, a few people from, like, the Apache tribes and some Navajo people as well, but that's kind of the extent of it. I wasn't around as many. There wasn't many in Hobbs as well.
Fair. I don't think they were as close to because we have, like, real close to Montreal. There's several territories that exist that are not like, Montreal or whatever, so like it's really accessible and always present, I guess, in my reality. But it's super nifty to consider that the way that it gets chopped up, you could be in an experience where you have almost no exposure at all, which is just, again, like super different.
Yeah, and it is pretty neat. And I guess just to tie it all in together, I guess, to what's big focus in my life, sports, is I enjoy it. We'd go and play in wrestling tournaments. We'd go and like, I can remember a couple schools. Shiprock was basically all tribal land, I think, is a tribal school, and they wrestled in the state of New Mexico with everyone else. And I tell you, that those guys were tough, man. They were tough. And it's crazy too, because it's not like what you'd think of the normal athletic physique, the aesthetics and things. They go in there, big belly, skinny arms, and guys were strong. And they were strong and very mentally tough. Persevered a lot. And so it was kind of neat seeing that too. And then you get to kind of see the personality in little glimpses of just that environment. But it's pretty cool. And then same thing, we go up to Ruidoso, which is a Apache tribal land up there, and they have a basketball tournament that we go, a 3-on-3 basketball tournament that I still play. I think I went up there last time I went up there 2 years ago. And we go and play on the tribal land up there and play 3-on-3 tournaments. Get probably 200-300 teams for this tournament and go play up there. It's pretty neat. Yeah,
I got a question.
And we play against each other and interact that way as well.
That's beautiful how sports can do that stills. There's a question I missed from Willie, and then Jumpin' Joe kind of doubled on it, and I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. But they want to know where your cup is, and I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
You know what? Give me about 30 seconds. I'll go get it real quick, and I'll pour something in it.
Not even worried about it. Lettuce, salt, and lemon. That is a simple salad. I would definitely require more than that, or else, well, I burn off a lot of calories in a day, so I try to like actually like make sure I eat enough, because it's also like you don't want to eat like too little if you're like pushing it and shit. Like if you're breaking like 4,000 calories in a day, you best be fucking eating, or you might like pass out and shit. So like if I don't eat enough, I get like fucking vertigo. So like I have to like make sure. Yo, you were at the fucking screw job? You were at the screw job? Sorry, that's what a guy in the chat was at. I was like, word, I was at the screw job. Shout out Lanson, the God MC. That's cool. That's fucking great. That's like our biggest contribution, in my opinion, to fucking. You spit in Vince's face? That's amazing. You gotta like go back a little bit or tilt your camera up a little bit. Awesome. That's better. Not that we don't like your shirt, but we want to see you. Oh.
Yeah, that was just my that was my little direct plug, because as you can tell, my shirt went from black to red. My wife just got done making this. We're about to celebrate over here 4th of July in the States. So it's red, white, and blue. And I'm sure if you listen to Texas music, like DJ Screw, the chopped and screwed music.
I'm actually really into that sound. I wasn't into it until I understood that sound, and now I understand the sound, and I'm like, bro, you can. I heard your remix that you have on your track, on the project. Oh, yeah. That is the one I felt the most compelled to hit that little heart button on Spotify. Like I just had to like fucking hear that one again. There's something to the vibe of it where it just takes people and just grooves it the fuck out, and you just. I love the way it chops. I had one done for one of my tracks because I fucked with it real heavy once my boy was doing it. It's like once you like hear a song you really like and then you hear it like redone, you're like, oh. Oh. But like it does require like understanding vibes, you know? Like it's very vibe driven. It's a lot less technique driven, right? Because it's almost like fucking up all your technique work and creating a vibe out of it.
Yes, definitely. And that's biggest thing for me, and those are some of my biggest influences, and that's why I was putting this down here, because the DJ Screw, and this will actually correlate directly in with my cup, but it says red, white, and screw instead of red, white, and blue for 4th of July. And I'm actually, that's what I'm getting ready to make. Like I think I'm gonna make 6 of them and either sell them online or sell them at my show that I'm doing.
At the very moment, I would target Tampa Bay right now because they're playing Montreal in hockey in the NHL finals. So you have a shirt that's almost like fuck Montreal a little bit, in my opinion. You could absolutely sell that in fucking Tampa Bay for the next 2 weeks.
Hell yeah! Well, maybe I just need to catch a flight. go stand outside the stadium with one on and just hawk them. Tell my boss I'll be back in a week.
Yo, honestly, you know, it's the kind of thing. $20, enough shirts, you might actually break them up to like make it worth the while.
Yeah. But and that also directly goes straight in with the cup that they wanted to see.
Oh shit! That's fucking cool. That's real cool.
The H-Town. That's where where the screw originated, and it's got the screws making the H, and then the Astro symbol on it for the H-Town. No, Zero, Pimp C, Bun B, DJ Screw, all the kind of the founders and pioneers.
Yeah, it's real. Yo, because it was DJ Screw Day on Sunday. That's something I'm aware of.
Yep.
And so
June 26th.
I'm very happy to like dedicate any time. If you want to just kind of break it down a little bit more, what it is, like the whole culture around it. because I don't not believe I can do it justice. I don't have the knowledge yet. But how like big it is, it's to the point where it's like you're not even supposed to call it chopped and screwed unless Screw touched it, is what I understand.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's. I mean, it's basically his legacy, and trying to think. I guess a little weird backstory about that is he was the first one, I guess, to kind of really make that. I wouldn't even say mainstream, but make it a stamp to make music like that. To chop up the verses, bring them back, slow them down, speed them up, slow them down. That was one of the biggest things, and then there's a big rivalry. It's almost kind of like a direct correlation, like Bloods and Crips. You had the one side of Houston, the other side of Houston. I mean, kind of back when Chameleon Air and Paul Wall, different. They're on one side with the blue or whatever, and then the red over here. And then there was actually DJ Michael 5000 Watts on DJ Watts and Michael Watts, same thing. He made some great mixes, great music, but no, I mean, he was from a certain different part of town. No one would listen to him. So he went by a fake alias and sold his music like he was someone from a different part of town. Because I mean, to him, he was one of those type of people who messed with everyone. I mean, he enjoyed everyone's music. He wasn't really part of that kind of beef, but because that beef existed, he had to make up a fake alias name to promote his music, and people were jamming it in the clubs and in their cars. One of the big things about, I mean, it's you always, I'm sure, hear of Texas as kind of like southern, like hillbilly hick type kind of country type state. So in a sense, they took all that and kind of intertwined it into they made their own style that was different from hip hop anywhere else. That's why, I mean, it can be recognized. I mean, a lot of places all over the world. I mean, you hear Chopped and Screwed, or you think DJ Screw. And so the biggest things to them with the candy paint on the car is something real bright, real flashy. So you go to one side, you have the real pearl and the blues, and then the other one you have like the candy apple red, and they call them like you hear a lot of songs tipping on Vos or Swangas and things like that. It's where the wheels poke out. I mean, the further they poke out, then I mean it's kind of like there's different trends. You know, like the big shiny rims and things of the sort over there. They put the Vos, the 80 Vos and things on their rides where they poke out real wide.
Bro, I had no idea what a Vos was. I've heard that shit in rhymes before, and I didn't know what it was. It's just like one of them words you hear and you don't care about it, honestly. I had no idea what the fuck it was.
It's specific to a certain type of wheel, a certain type of rim that they used to put on the cars over there, and that was like a staple and a trademark for the Chopped and Screwed era in that culture, in the music and everything. It's kind of neat.
Yo, I barely ever think about car culture because, like, we can't have cool lights on the bottom of our cars, and we can't have cars that bounce. So, like, I've never seen a bouncing car. I've just never seen any of this shit in real life. Like, I know it exists. I know it's a thing. But I also know it's a thing that's highly correlated to, like, this world of music that I'm also really disconnected from because it's not here. Mm-hmm. Or prevalent to my knowledge here.
Yeah, that is something different, and it's great. I mean, it's kind of neat talking to you and seeing the two different worlds of how we grew up differently too. Because even though, I mean, I'm a white guy, but my culture is so mixed and diverse of what I've grown up around. So I actually spend a lot of time at like lowrider shows and stuff with the Hispanic culture. Is probably what I'd probably directly correlate. I guess if I had to pick one that I've spent the most time around, has been around Hispanic culture. And we always go into the lowrider, same thing, like real bright paint jobs, and they like a little more gold on the cars, the smaller wheels, 100 spokes and things of the sort. And then, I mean, yeah, I love lowriders. I mean, I want a 64 Impala is one of my dream cars with the drop top roof, and have about 6 batteries in it, and we can have it hop and drop it all the way down, stand it on 3 wheels.
Yo, that's serious. Like, just to, like it's serious shit. Like, I mean, I know it's all real and stuff, and I know to a lot of people watching it, my bamboozlement might be kind of astounding, but yo, like, there's not even that many fancy fucking paint jobs in Montreal. Like, you don't get a lot of that. It's super rare. People have, like, really standard looking cars. Like, if anything, you buy a Tesla, and that's how you're flexing these days. But, like, yeah, it's all, like, I don't know. I know the country is different, so I don't know fuck all about, like, no aftermarket mods. Yo, that's what the rule is. Yeah, like I don't know. I'm sure in the country there's some shit, but like, bro, I'm never in the country. Like I don't know anything about the country in
Yeah,
Quebec. I don't know anything about it. My girlfriend knows more than I do, but so that's just super nifty to see how like, because that kind of stuff shifts everything about the musical culture, right? So if let's say car culture hypothetically is mad important towards the sound of a certain geographical region, and you come from a place like my place where it's not, if you're trying to jack that sound hypothetically speaking, it's probably not going to connect the same way because so many roots of that culture, that sound that made it work where it came from, at least for the artists who created it, are just like there. Not to say that the sounds won't work, but like the package won't feel right.
yeah, and it's kind of neat seeing that. And even though I've only been making music for a year or so, some of the first few features that people actually sought out and reached out once they heard my music and say, "Hey, I really want you to work on this song or something." An interesting thing is, me and a guy named Ace Flow did a song called "Burn Slow," and I recorded it 8 months ago. Whenever I was 6 months into rapping, and it was one of the first features I ever did, and he released it last week.
Hmm.
And it was cool because I did a hook and a hook and a 16 bar verse for it, and it's all chopped. The hook is chopped and screwed, and that's why this guy lives up in Iowa. And he said, "Man," he said, "I heard what you're talking about song, which to me lyrically I don't think is a great song, but that's a great song to kind of really tap into that chopped and screwed culture.
Hmm.
It's got a screw hook on it, and basically the whole song is about Texas and about the screw culture and I mean, just that whole environment." And that's what this guy had heard, and he said, "Man," he said, "I like it." He's like, "Because you have a different sound." He's like, "You got a little bit of that, you got a real strong accent, like a southern, more like a what people would associate with like country accent. But you hear more like country music." Because
I'm gonna have to agree with this fine fellow. It was the first thing I thought when I talked to you. I'm like, yo, he that kind of so in terms of the voice.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
No disrespect or anything. I fucking love it. It's a cool accent.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's definitely, especially the more I drink, if whenever I do drink it, my little southern accent gets a little bit deeper and a little more profound.
If
And
it makes me think of Yellow Wolf, but
yeah,
like you might feel different about different southern accents. Y'all sound the same to me. Don't even ask me to try to identify a fucking place.
nah, I mean it's all fairly similar, and that's kind of cool. I actually missed an opportunity on there. I had he did a cause I ride motorcycles, and so I was gonna loop around too earlier.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
I'm
don't,
excited. No, we're
I
gonna
don't know
get
if you
back
ever
to it.
saw that. I don't know if you ever saw that rolling around video. It was the first video, that music video I ever got to do, and it's the motorcycle in it is that's actually my personal motorcycle, and it goes straight to that culture and bikes and things incorporated into music because that's my lifestyle. It's got a red and blue blend, and that's how this cup was made for that video shoot. I made one for me. I made one for my producer and one of my good friends, Trouble Oak. He's the one that got me into rapping. He's in the video, so I made him one. He let it. We shot half the video at his studio in his house, and so I made this one this color, and the rest of them like the traditional. I don't know if you've seen like the DJ screw, like the purple dripping, which I mean, so came from how Pimp C died. His liver failed from drinking too much lean, and they kind of popularized that before it was actually popularized. It was just what they did. It wasn't like a
Right, right.
clout chasing type thing. It's just, I mean, they went to parties, they poured it in their Sprite, and they had a good time before anyone knew what the hell it was or what it did. They just someone. I remember Zero got a hold of it, and then Pimp C drank it all the time, and of course his liver shut down and he died. Rest in peace to the pimp. But yeah, him and Bun B had that group UGK together. But
Wonderful group.
so yeah, I had this one. I made one for my buddy Trouble Oak, and then one for his name is Lonely. He's in a two-man duo called Greenhouse. Me and him have done a couple songs, a couple videos together. But he featured on the song for me, and he was actually one of the first ones to feature with me. He's a really talented musician he's from obviously New Mexico as well. But me and him didn't know each other outside of music.
Right.
And he said, "You know what? I see how hard you're working. You're barely starting." But he said, "I won't charge you a thing." He's like, "For first one, I do it for you, and I'll try to help you anything you need too." Great guy. And so I made him a cup just to kind of say, "Hey, thanks, I appreciate you," type of deal. Had some custom ones made, and then one for the guy that produced and directed the film with Diamonds Rising, my buddy Fabian Navarro. He's really talented with the camera. So man, that's just kind of, I like to do. If people show that kind of love to me, I want to find some sort of way, and that's my way of saying, "Hey, I appreciate you."
Yeah,
type
smart.
of thing going.
That's a knowledge nugget, everyone. Those kinds of
You can see
gestures
that.
work.
You can definitely see that in the video right there. You can see because they're all holding their cups in the video too. And so I think it'd be a cool thing for the video, and then also something for them to have with their name on it. Because I put KronOz on mine, and then put their artist names or their business on theirs.
Right.
And I painted my bike the same way, the roundabout way, and then same thing. It has my bike has the parental advisory stamp painted into the front fender. It's got 21-inch red wheel. It's a mixture between my love for music and my love for sports because was a Houston Oilers and a Tennessee Titans fan. So that's the color the bike's painted. And it's got a bunch of skulls ghosted into the red. Wool derricks pearled into it where you can't see until the sun hits it. It's got a nice little stereo system on it and whatnot. And it's a cool little bike that kind of my dream come true type thing that I always wanted to do. Got it done about 3 years ago.
And that makes sense because you were like 8 years old learning how to ride bikes back in the day.
Yeah, I've always been obsessed with old cars, trucks, and motorcycles.
Fair enough. So if we go back to like the post-college, some stuff happened, then you're doing some work stuff. Like what else is going on in your life? How do you start getting into more of this like bike culture? What else is going on for you?
Well, and throughout that time I raced motocross and stuff, and then once I
Hold on. You may run that back. My girlfriend was a moto hoe.
no joke. Okay,
No,
well,
straight up. Back in the day, that's one of her like. She just said, "Hold up!" Like she got excited. You gotta understand. This is her shit. I'm like, the fuck is a moto hoe? She's like, a hoe for the motocross guys. Now y'all know. So she would, because in the country where she's from in Quebec, that's just some real. So she would go fuck the motocross guys back in the day. Yo, she's put this on blast. It's not a secret. It's all over. It's on wax. She said it. I'm allowed to say this.
So you got the blessing. So we're in the clear now. Yeah. No, it's it wasn't something I did. I never was a professional at it. So we're all good here, man. Don't cut me off the screen.
Nah, we good. She's
fine. We I did it for a few years. I mean, just as like a hobby. I mean, I always rode motorcycles, did desert races, enduros, kind of out in the country. Then I wanted to say, okay, I want to see if I can. I mean, I enjoy jumping it too, so I wanted to do some motocross, and I did that for a couple of years. I was a little bit younger than my competition because I was kind of a bigger kid back then. So I rode a 125. I raced a 125. I was in the 250s, the two strokes back then, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm 12, 13 years old, and racing against 26-year-old men. So it's kind of, they've been doing it a little bit longer. But I mean, I did. I got me one plaque for motocross, one out of my whole life. I got one top 5 finish, and then also I fought for 10 years, fought MMA for 10 years, and then
what?
But the only time that I've been the only time I was knocked unconscious was on a motocross track. I was completely unconscious for about 3 or 4 minutes.
So I know what motocross is kind of because I went to a monster truck thing that had guys doing what I think is motocross there. I don't fucking. What's motocross for the people that don't fully know what motocross is?
Well, I mean, basically, they take the faster dirt bikes and they tune them up, and then you have arena cross and you have motocross. Basically, it's a track setup, has some big jumps, it has little small bumps that maybe 10, 20, 30 in a row. They call a whoop section. There may be a foot off the ground, but your bike, you have to kind of get that front tire up and ride them through. You have a lot of technical, real tight hairpin turns where you go like that, turn around, and then you have some big jumps where sometimes you're jumping 2 or 3 big mounds and jumping 60 to 100 foot through the air.
Yeah, that's serious.
Different things. So you basically line up in a long gate in a line, sometimes 30 different bikes. You stand there, you sit there and get ready to gear it down, and then they drop the gate. And as soon as they drop the gate, everyone just 0 to 60 miles an hour sometimes in a pack this tight.
Bro, how are you not terrified? Or I guess you live for this shit.
Well, yes and no. The weird thing, I mean, every time before I walked into the cage to fight, anytime I stepped on the mat to do for wrestling or a Brazilian jiu-jitsu competition or anything of the sort, and racing especially, my heart would pound. I mean, just like I get the same, and I think that's why I love performing and doing music as well, because I get that same feeling I used to get before I'd go fight or before I'd race. get up there, and even if it's only 20, 30 people in the crowd, it's kind of like, well, these people are sitting there and everyone's watching you. You got to do your thing. You got to entertain, and I mean, it's kind of showing what you've been working on. Same thing with the races. I get real nervous. I'd get up there and my heart would pound and pound until get into it, step into the cage. I get excited, but man, I think the biggest crowd I ever fought in front of, maybe 1,500 people. You walk out to that song, the music's blaring, you're walking out there, you're excited, but then it's like you get up there, you take everything off, talk to your coaches, get in the cage, and it's just you. Everyone's staring at you. Yeah, you could die, or who knows what's going to happen. Man, my heart would always pound. I'd feel like I got to go run to the restroom, like sit there, and it's really nervous energy, but it was a good feeling though. It was really exciting.
So yeah,
So,
you're
and then once you
definitely a
get
thrill
going,
seeker.
you get punched in the face or you get hit. It's like, okay, this is what we do every day in practice. It's fun. Let's go. Let's have some fun. Same thing with the races.
So I have one more question about the races, because the one time I saw motocross, they did loop-de-loops in the air. Did you ever do a loop-de-loop in the air?
Oh no, I didn't do stunt shows and things like that. This was just all on the track. There's a lot of, they have, I think, motocross freestyle, Moto X freestyle. They do tricks and things, but no, I never was a trick jumper. I wasn't even that good at the jumps, just good enough to make it around the track and compete.
So how do you get into MMA? That feels like a hugely interesting thing.
Well, it kind of.
I guess you have the wrestling background, so you're already kind of involved in some level of competitiveness.
Yeah, that's how it all started. Because even though I only did wrestling for 2 years, so it was almost like I was still searching for something else. Like I was just getting started. I was like, hey, I'm really good at this. Like, now what do? I'm out of high school. I mean, I'm not good enough to go wrestle for a Division I college or anything. So what do?
So how do you?
So I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay. So you start training.
I got into. They had a guy. Luckily, and weird roundabout and stuff all ties together too. Where whenever I was 18, getting out of high school, I decided, okay, I'm gonna do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm gonna go check it out. It's kind of similar to wrestling. Just you can choke people out and break people's legs and arms instead on top of wrestling. So I'm like, cool, let's go see. I mean, it's the closest thing I can do to actual wrestling, and so I'm gonna see if I like it. And then I did that, and then I started excelling. My wrestling helped me out a lot in that, because I mean, a lot of people in jiu-jitsu, they were good at jiu-jitsu, but they've never wrestled before. So you have more of that. It's more of an explosive kind of aggressive culture in wrestling than it is in jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is more patient, technical. Wrestling's more, I'm gonna stay in your face and I'm gonna make you uncomfortable. So blending those two together, I think it's a good mesh. But it started there, and then we had a couple guys that gym I went to. The guy that owned it, he was our jiu-jitsu instructor. He's now he was a state trooper and a judge in Lee County. Now he's a judge 20 years later. Yeah, he got me into it. Like, he was really, really good. His brother-in-law was a guy named Travis Luter who fought. You watch UFC or MMA or anything at all?
I do not, but somebody in the chat does, so you should definitely run this.
Okay, well, this is an interesting story for anyone that does. They've watched it for a while and understand it. There's a guy named Anderson Silva who a lot of people consider one of the best mixed martial artists ever to fight. He's from Brazil, a real good Muay Thai kickboxer. But the guy that trained me the first time, his brother-in-law's name was Travis Luter, and he won one of the first, might have been the first, or one of the first Ultimate Fighter series. They had basically a competition to you fight your way up through this tournament to get into the UFC. So if you win the show, you get to fight the champion in that weight class. And Anderson Silva was the middleweight champion. Basically, no one could touch him. He was just destroying everyone at the time. And then my instructor, his brother-in-law, ended up winning the show and fought Anderson Silva. And he actually, I mean, he lost the fight, and he was a little bit overweight, so it wouldn't have mattered anyways because he came in overweight. But yeah, he fought Anderson Silva, and he actually gave him a run for his money because this guy's Travis Luter's a real distinguished black belt in jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's competed all over the world, won world titles in jiu-jitsu.
So Lanson, who brought it up or who knows about this, says he's heard of Travis.
Okay, well, yeah. Travis Luter, I think he's I know he's won, I think, IBJJF nationals over there, across seas and whatnot. He's a really really good practitioner. If you're anywhere around jiu-jitsu, then yeah, you'll know who Travis Lutter is, and I'm sure anyone that really follows the UFC and MMA in general probably heard of him as well. But it's kind of a neat thing for a small town. He owns 2 gyms in Fort Worth. Travis Lutter does right now. He still runs them actively. But it's kind of neat because I mean, I got into it that way because they're promoting a show. They have the gym, and then they're also promoting their own shows too with the fights called Eagle Fight Productions. And so they have some fights, and they say, hey, well, you wrestled and things. You wrestled and you do well here in the classes in jiu-jitsu. Would you mind sparring with the guys a little bit to help them like get ready for their fights? So yeah, okay, that's cool. I mean, I box with my friends and stuff, so I put the gloves on and start boxing. And then some of the guys are getting ready for the fight. I'm in there laying into him and hit one of the guys and drop him. And then, I mean, put him on his back. And I said, have you ever thought about fighting? I said, because you got that raw, aggressive nature, and you just go forward. Like you got a hard head, you just go forward, and you're athletic. So why don't you think about fighting? I said, I don't know. I mean, I enjoy fighting, but I don't really never thought about fighting MMA. I just wanted to wrestle. So I got into that and ended up fighting for a while. I trained for about 10 years. I think I fought actively for maybe 6 years. It's been a little while since I've got back into it, but
you were like
I've actually
fighting like proper MMAs and stuff. Like how does that work? Like what was your name fighting with the MMA?
It was a name that was given to me because these people right here, the Works MMA in Hobbs, New Mexico, they Jimmy Jones, his brother-in-law Travis Lutter, was the one that he kind of inspired me because I seen his jiu-jitsu guy and he got into it. But the first time I fought legit MMA like in a cage was at the Lee County Event Center in Hobbs. Over 1,000 people there. It was a really nice production. This was in 2009. We have a casino in town. We went and weighed in at the casinos and fought there at the event center the next day. But to make it even more nerve-wracking, I go out there and fighting in front of my hometown, and then I find out, and Jimmy's brother-in-law Travis Lutter's there, and he's there in our locker room when we're getting ready to warm up. So he's sitting there hanging out with us, getting ready and talking to us and stuff. So it was pretty neat. Luckily I won and knocked the guy out about 20 seconds into the second round. So I got to take a deep breath, and it was a great feeling being there. And then I got to meet him, do that, and then a few years later I got to meet Anderson Silva. So the first gloves I ever fought in, I have signed by Travis Lutter and Anderson Silva. And I like to think that is a weird tidbit because I don't know if anyone else in the country could ever say they fought the first time they ever fought and they got their gloves signed by both people fighting for a UFC championship, especially that exact one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Not for real though. Whenever like people have those like quirky little unique moments, they're like special. And there is somebody out there who's way more excited than I understand. Because bro, I'm following it at a very top level enough to understand the significance. But somebody out there is gonna be like, bro, that's some shit that I fucking want to eat up. And that's kind of why I like doing this, because like we end up just getting exposed to so much just regular passion shit. And then Lutter won Ultimate Fighter 4 is what I'm hearing. And
okay, yeah, I wasn't sure which one it was. I knew it was one of the first few, but I wasn't sure at that time because whenever I first got into it, I really wasn't a big like UFC fan. Like I watched the old Matt Hughes and the Hoist Gracie days when he first started, but I didn't follow it a lot until I actually started fighting. And then we're watching every one, and we're actually gotten the chance to train with a couple of these guys. One of my buddies, he's one of the instructors for. We've actually got to meet Derek Lewis before people knew who Derek Lewis was, and now he's they made gifts of him because he's hilarious, but a huge guy out of Houston, big old heavyweight guy fighting for the heavyweight championship in, I think, a week or two. But we met him as an amateur and got to meet him in person. The guy's hilarious. Some roundabout way you can get him on the show, it'd be amazing. He's a funny ass guy.
All I need is for somebody who knows him to be like, bro, go do this show, and then him want to go do the show. Be like, the interview's fucking great, do it. That's how it works.
That'd be an amazing show. Yeah, he is very entertaining.
Bro, I'd be like, dude, I don't know shit about what you do. You gonna break it down. And he's gonna be like, this is the strangest shit I've ever been a part of. I'm like, yes. And that's the experience.
Well, and the crazy thing is, this guy, he's not like what you think of 99% of a traditional MMA fighter. This guy is someone that's hits you and might just kill you. And he's just a natural born person that got hammers in his hand. And but the guy literally is, I mean, the epitome of what we're talking about, the same screw culture in Texas made and what you think. The guy's over here eating ribs and barbecue in between his training workouts. Like, instead of, and most people are eating tapia and rice cakes and straight vegetables, trying to cut weight and everything else. And he's over there eating ribs and just pigging out, and then he's going to fight the next day and winning professional title.
I guess that matters about watching your weight if it impacts your weight class, because if you change weight class, it could fuck up your bag.
Yeah, big time, and that's a good, and I mean, actually, I think it's more of a negative in the sport, wrestling and in MMA, because everyone wants to get they try to physically deplete themselves enough to get to the lowest weight class they can to give themselves an advantage, but everyone does it, and then you get tired and burnt out, and you have no advantage, because that's how I lost my first fight that way. I won my first 4, then I went and fought in El Paso for a promotion out of Vegas, the famous Camino Real Hotel, and I fought a guy. He was based out of California, living in El Paso. Pretty good, really good fighter, and he I cut the day after New Year's, and back then I partied on New Year's pretty hard all the time, so they call and say, hey, we got a fight open for you with this guy in 3 weeks. Do you want to take it? Yeah, sure. I fought at 185. At this time, I'm 207. 207, 209, something of the sort. I'm like, okay, well, 24 pounds, some of that, 22, 24 pounds, and I can do that in 3 weeks. I'll be all right. Then a week before the fight, the guy says, okay, no, I'm not going to fight him at 185, which is we're fighting for a championship as well at that weight class for middleweight. He said, I want to do a catch weight at 177, or I'm not going to take the fight. It's just like hip hop. The guy's a big draw, a big venue, and he's going to bring in a lot of asses in the seats. So they said, hey, this is the only way the fight's going to go down. That's what it is. You want to take it or leave it? Me being 23 at the time, 22, 23, I'm stubborn. I said, okay, I'll make it. So long story short, I cut 32 pounds, and first time I got beat up. But it was exhausting and horrible.
Yeah, but that's a big lesson still, is about caring about your health and doing it proper.
Yeah, exactly. That's so you can definitely die that way. And there's been wrestlers and fighters die from, dehydration and just severe weight cuts. It's a crazy thing.
No, I don't know. It's like a world that I'm not that involved in, but like, that's a concerning thing to think that people fuck with their weight just to like manipulate success opportunities. And I don't know how many people talk about it, but I never heard about it before.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's kind of, now that I think about it, it was pretty, I guess, it was a pretty stupid thing to do for me, but being young and prideful, I've always had that competitive spirit. Well, I'm gonna do what I can, do what I need to win, no matter what. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna let someone else outwork me in any phase of the game. And that's to give me a competitive edge. I was like, I got to do it. Nowadays, that's why I don't fight anymore. Because whenever I got lucky, got to go back to college. I finished a bachelor's degree in environmental science after my little hiccup. I stuck with it. Made the best opportunity.
Did you say you went and got a bachelor in environmental science?
Yes.
That's a huge flex. That's such a cool thing. You know, my girlfriend already reacted. That's like, she's like an I speak for the trees people.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, I just it was neat. I'm not too far on one way or another, but I definitely want to conserve our environment. But I was actually I think last time I talked to you, I was in California, and I went and worked in California for 2 months over there, helping with the people that got affected by the wildfires over there, clean up the trees, the houses, the ranches, the different things up there. We were the company I worked for. We were through the state of California. Yeah, they contracted us. We were in 5 different counties over there. But I was over in like Fresno. I've been working in the Bay, doing some other stuff around Los Angeles, Mono up by Lake Tahoe. Just was over there for a couple months.
Yeah, that's serious. That's like noble. That's like the noblest shit. That's like save the world shit. KronOz be saving the world, man.
That it's not as noble as it sounds. I do it for the money.
Bro, if you're gonna do shit for the money and it saves the world,
something you like, right?
That's pretty fucking like blessed still. I mean, intrinsically, we're
Yeah,
all
definitely.
motivated selfishly. My girlfriend wants to know if you're aware of Shelby and Madison, environmental YouTubers who live out somewhere near maybe you. And I don't know. She's asking, and she lives here.
Who is it?
Some Shelby and Madison? I don't know.
I'm not familiar with it, but I'll definitely check it out. I'll put it in my phone right now.
If you up on that eco life, they're eco peoples. And they
Okay,
like,
yeah,
do,
I'll
like,
check it
tips
out.
and shit, and she's super into them. And then I absorb
Nice.
the knowledge after she filters the pure version, and they're from Texas. Cause like the
Gotcha.
pure, cause like yo, sometimes it's a lot, and I'm like, minimalism is okay if you're rich. You know, you know, like, so I don't know. Not to say that minimalism's bad. In principle, it's like a fucking good thing. In practice, it's complicated and usually requires a degree of privilege to pull off. Anyway, so you do the MMA shit for 10 years, or you train for 10 years. So you're training for a long time, and so you build up to a point where you're able to compete, and then you're competing for 6 years, you said?
Well, it's kind of almost reversed, because I guess I had a little bit of a start for a couple years of wrestling. So actually started competing. I think 3 months into training, I started competing at jiu-jitsu tournaments, and then I did well at them. I actually won a few of them, in the first couple ones. And that's whenever where I live now is an hour and a half where I grew up here in Texas. They didn't have wrestling in high school, so I beat some guys that were, been doing it for a few years, 2-3 years already, and that were good at what they did. And I beat them. I didn't submit them or choke them out or break their arm or anything, make them tap out. But I was able to take them down, put them on their back, and keep them from beating me. I guess. So I won that, and the guys, they said, you know what? I said, where'd you learn to wrestle like that? Like, they can't defend takedowns. I said, well, I wrestled at high school. Okay, well, where do you live at? Hobbs, New Mexico. I said, well, pay your gas and food and stuff like that. Would you come down here and like teach wrestling to our fighters? So that was kind of a neat thing. That's whenever, I guess, MMA wasn't as big as it is now, so there wasn't an MMA gym in every city, and everyone didn't know how to wrestle.
Right.
Back then, it was kind of different.
So you went and taught a whole bunch of people to wrestle that helped impact a whole cultural phenomenon in its own little way.
I wish it was that complex, but yeah, it was a few people just kind of gave them a little bit of wrestling and gave them some bodies to go and practice
Ripple
with.
effects, my guy. Even if it's like a 0.0000001% impact.
As long as it has something, right?
It exists in the annals of footnotes.
Put me in the fine print. I don't care where it's at.
So I guess what makes you stop doing MMA, or do you have any other like MMA highlights?
Have some, just different. They're all. Every experience is different, but yeah. Second fight, I fought the first fight, same thing, is kind of a go up there, and the guy was I think 2-1 or 3-1. He was a Hispanic guy. He just happened to be a gangbanger. It's stereotypical, because back then, now I've got plenty of tattoos. Back then I had no tattoos. I wasn't super big. I was wearing a baggy sweater and whatnot. And this guy, he had 187 tattooed on his throat, east side on his forearms, and he was, what'd you think of a stereotypical banger? And so we get to the casino for weigh-ins. I'm sitting there just kind of real calm. I'm ready. I trained hard. I'm on weight. This guy keeps over there kind of giving me the mean stink eye, the mad dog in you type of thing. He gets on the scale, and he's a big guy, but he was a little soft. He wasn't as prepared, I felt. I get up there on the scale. Once in, I'm confident, because, okay, I'm in the action. I'm just getting the action. We get in each other's face. I get up there and get on the scale, give him a little traditional, smile for the camera type thing. And, and he looks at me, and I see his demeanor change a little bit. We go and do the whole traditional face-off. You go get in each other's face and go like this. Look mean, look mad, or whatever, for the pictures.
Yo, what was the name of your opponent? The second one?
Oh, shoot. The second one, his name was Cole. I honestly, I don't remember this guy's name.
The nameless Cole.
Yeah, the second guy, his name was Colt. He's a guy from San Antonio, but I can't remember this guy's name. I don't know if I ever heard it again after the one day that I fought him, but Yeah, we fought at the Coliseum for that Eagles promotion right there, and it was kind of cool because back 2009, not everything was filmed, not everything was. So they actually got some pictures and stuff of the event.
Oh yeah, what was
It
your
was,
MMA name?
they call it the Vanilla Gorilla.
The Vanilla Gorilla. Yeah, I don't think we actually
Yeah,
got your name before. We started to get there, and then roundabout we never
yeah,
got
we
to saying
got
it.
right on the edge, and then we got sidetracked. we
So
kind
yeah,
of
it's
kind of
the Vanilla Gorilla, Lanson. I like it. I like that a lot. That's an
And
amazing name.
I'm one that I always feel like nicknames have to be given to you. You can't give yourself a nickname. So I actually didn't get my nickname until my second fight. No, second fight, yeah. Because first time I fought, I was living in Hobbs, New Mexico. I fought there, and then I had moved to West Texas in 2010, which was kind of a transition. I had my little hiccup in 2009 when I was in school. Went through it, then I moved to Texas about an hour and a half away. Went over there, continued school over there at the University of Texas, the Permian Basin. So I started started at a new gym over there because I've been training maybe a year and a half, 2 years at that point. So I moved to a new community and went to this place called Rough House MMA with Brian Pierce, and I ended up staying there for about the remainder of the time that I trained. So I went over there, and then we go to a fight back in New Mexico to a show, and my old instructor, professors there, Ruben Yamas, and they're from the works, and they're talking. We're all talking to each other, being friendly. Hey, like a reunion type thing. Hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a while. How's everything going? Who you got fighting tonight? Blah blah blah. And I guess he had told. I guess they'd always call me the Vanilla Gorilla, just joking around because being a wrestler and being really really pale. They said, man, you're freakishly strong. Because I mean, back then I was 195, 200 pounds. And go up against guys 275 and put them on their back and keep them down and match them. They'd say, hey, just real aggressive like a gorilla. They just grab you and whatever, go from there. So, and I'd always laugh because I was like, you guys are dumb. Call me a Vanilla Gorilla. That's goofy. So I walk out and to the second fight, they do the music and whatnot, and they call you out on there and they say, coming up next, Justin, the Vanilla Gorilla, Nixon, and they're like, and I was like, what the hell? I turned around like, what the hell's going on? Who told him that? So I guess my old instructor went and told a new coach, and then they gave it to the DJ to announce.
And it just stuck. It's not stuck.
Yeah, I went from there. I just went ahead and decided to embrace it after a few years.
And so, you won that second fight because you won your first 4 fights.
Yeah, I won that one. That was a good one. That was an interesting one as well because my opponent, back then things weren't as sanctioned as they are now. Now they've got a whole lot of rules to regulate everything. Back then, my opponent changed 3 times within 24 hours. We went to the weigh-in. I was supposed to fight another guy that was a wrestler there. And then for whatever reason, he was a hometown guy. They switched him, gave me another guy. Because by the time I fought my second fight, I'd already been training 3 or 4 years or something. Because I only fought about once a year because I was in school and everything else. I'd maybe fight once a year because I just didn't have time to travel, didn't have time between studying. So this time, we're leaving the hotel to go to the arena to the fight, or the day of the fight. And I'm talking to this guy I knew from Lubbock, Texas. He's a coach over there. And he said, hey, what's up, Justin? How you doing? Who are you fighting tonight? So, I think some guy out of your camp. They got Eagles Nest. So who's that? And he's like, no. He's like, because I competed against the coach in like a jiu-jitsu tournament. He's like, no. He's like, I can't let you fight him. He's like, I can't. Because the guy, this is going to be his first fight. He'd only been training 6 months. And he wasn't real athletic. He was a real green, a real beginner. So he said, it's just not a good matchup. He was a good coach. So he's saying, I'm not going to put him through that. We're going to have to. So he talked to the promoter and said, hey, I'm not going to let it happen. So I'm a little irritated because I've already cut weight, gone through all that to train for the fight, and now I don't have a fight. But they finally found me another guy to fight in kickboxing. I ended up getting him in submission. We went to the ground, scrambled around. I rolled off my back and got him in an arm bar. Got him to tap out early in the second round. So it was kind of interesting. It was a lot different from the first one, but a whole new experience.
How many fights do you end up doing?
Only 6.
Still, those are all like cool. That's like a serious thing. So what's your final record?
4-2.
Yeah, that's solid stills, man. That means you I would gamble on you winning. That seems like the safer bet.
Oh yeah. I'd gamble on winning for sure. But yeah, because I feel like even the sixth fight, the fifth fight, I definitely got the best of me. Yeah. I mean, I was still going. The ref called it off. We were both standing up. But yeah, that guy, he was getting some good shots on me. He was a tough fighter. And the sixth fight, the guy that fought his older brother was actually on the Ultimate Fighter as well. I fought him in his hometown, and as an amateur in some organizations, you're not allowed to elbow on the ground. And then this guy in the second round, I took him down, took his back, and I came across the body and started elbowing him in the temple, elbowing him on the ground like that. And then so they stopped it, and they ended up deducting a whole round from me there, and it's only a 3-round fight, so I ended up losing a split decision. I had won on one of the judges' cards, and then lost the other two by 1 point because of that round.
Very important.
Yeah, that was the last time because I ended up tearing up my knee in that fight, and then after that, I was like, you know, I'd almost finished school, and I was like, okay, now it's time I need to make money and start kind of focusing more on things. I still went and trained for about 3 or 4 years. I just didn't fight anymore.
So basically, if I understand correctly, you have a little injury, you have a moment where not following the rules cost you a fight, and you decided to go save the world with eco-friendly moves.
there we go. Yeah, we'll roll. That sounds good. We'll roll with that.
I mean, it is what it is, man. You could have chosen anything in life, and you chose to go learn about the fucking planet and shit. So that's really respectful and should be highlighted in this era. Like, I'm sitting here going, yo, it's fucking hot, like, in ways that is not natural for, like, Montreal, and it's kind of problematic. So anybody that's invested in that shit, with the way the world's going, yo, it hit 45 degrees Celsius, which is just hotter than normal, hot as fuck for whatever it is in Fahrenheit. I don't fucking know what it is. Somebody else can Google that. Basically, like, well over 100, and it was like a record high, and I'm like, that was today on the other side of Canada, and it might fuck up the crops and shit. So I'm like, yo, we need people that give a fuck about the planet like that. That's all I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah, man, it sure is hot where I live right here. Yeah, in Odessa, Texas.
It's 113 Fahrenheit.
It was 113 where you at?
Not me, but on the other side of Canada. We're like a little closer to 100, I think, or whatever. But like the other side of Canada, yo, it's never been that hot. That's scary.
That's crazy.
Right? Like,
yeah, that's hot as hell.
That's not supposed to happen in our part of the North America. Like,
yeah. Yeah, cause we're over here in the desert, and it's probably, I mean, every now and again it stays about 100 or more through the summer most days. But yeah, I was working somewhere in this little town called Orla doing an excavation on a gasoline spill the other day, and it was 113, 114 degrees that day, and I said, man, this is too hot, especially standing on Clichy. Because you sit there and you take the temperature gun and shoot the ground, it'd be 163 degrees. Because the sand and the Clichy rock, it's really hot.
It's I don't know. It's just stuff I think a lot more. Mostly my girlfriend cares, so when she cares, I listen to it, and inevitably I picked it up. But yeah, so you're doing that, and then you finished the MMA. That's a huge passion. I assume this whole time you're bumping music proper.
Oh yeah.
What was your entrance song?
I actually came out to I tried coming out to a new song almost every single time. One time I came out to one that they made. Roy Jones Jr., the boxer Roy Jones Jr. made a song with, I think, Youngbloods called "Can't Be Touched," and I came out to that one time. I came out to Waka Flocka Brick Squad one time.
Hey.
Young Money Brick Squad. Yeah, that song always got me hyped up. I came out to Go to Sleep by Eminem one time. Came out to DMX one time. Gonna make me lose my mind. Open you. Came out to that one time. Man, there's one more, but I can't remember what it was though.
Fair. So what makes you decide to start rapping? Because you basically done a whole lot of nifty shit, and now you're out there eco-planeting. How do you get to the point where, like, you're fucking rapping? Like, I would say in this case it's a bit of a pivot. It's a bit of an unexpected pivot.
Well, and the weird thing is, I mean, I guess it's pretty generic to say, but everyone picked up something new in COVID. it's kind of about the time. But it wasn't because of that. I'd always one of my favorite rappers is Ritz, and I've seen him live 5 or 6 times, and I got to meet him, hang out with him, take a shot with him, and one time, and met him up in Dallas, Texas, and we were down there, and then there's this guy who now me and him have been friends for 6 or 7 years. We travel together, hang out. We've gone to shows together. We went to the Gathering of the Juggalos 2019 for the 20th anniversary.
You got to go to the Gathering of the Juggalos? Okay, now we
got to
gotta
perform
pause.
there too for 2 days.
You got to perform at the Gathering.
I was a hype man because I wasn't rapping at that time, but I was.
Bro,
we had a few guys.
I don't
like
even
4 or 5
care if
guys.
nobody else cares. You got to tell me about the Gathering of the Juggalos and your experience with that. I don't give a fuck how long it takes. It is a lifelong goal of mine to go to this motherfucker. I would have put it on a credit card in 2020 type things, but then COVID. Like, that's how fucking ready I was for the Gathering. Because, like, I've been every year wanting to do this for so fucking long. It looks like the littiest shit ever.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. I've got the contact. I'm gonna try to get actually perform there this year, hopefully.
Oh, that's so fucking serious. Okay, so how do you end up, like, doing that?
Well, and that's the thing too, because like growing up, I'm not a juggalo, but man, I love the experience. It was one of the best, and I've been to hundreds of live music venues, from rock to metal to rap to R&B to country, and I'd probably say it's the best festival and best music experience I ever had. It was amazing.
The best concert I've been to, hands down, in my life is the Great Milenko Tour in 2019 when they came to Montreal and they sprayed me with fucking Fago. And, like, yo, first of all, that album's banging, so it's a great album to see perform live, but, like, it's hard to describe the Fago experience until you're really in it. And
Crazy.
I have, like, video of me getting hit in the face with Fago. And it's, like, incredible. Except my phone's waterproof, so I'm like, fuck that. We going in on this filming shit. And, man, it was beautiful. And just the whole, like, theater of it all, like, the spectacle, like, yo, they took this Fafun's bar up in Montreal, which a lot of people don't utilize correctly, and turned it into a whole experience. Bro, by the time it was done, there was this much Fago on the fucking floor of the bar. Like, it was serious. It was the best show I've been to. Like, and then you might not like it after when you're sticky on the subway, but that's what happened.
Only people who know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that is a fun time and a nasty feeling.
Alright, so yeah, tell us about the Gathering, though, for real.
Well, have you ever heard of Odd Squad Family?
Yes.
They got the guy Nubs, he has no arms, no legs, Snowman, Albino, and then A Factor. We performed on Thursday up there on the Shazam stage, and okay, I guess going back real quick before I roll with that, I'll say how I started rapping was with my buddy Trouble Oak. He promoted Ritz, he's from Hobbs, New Mexico, my hometown, but me and him didn't know each other. He's a hip hop artist over there named Trouble Oak. He's been doing it for 20 years. He does a lot of different things. Has his Money Side Records, a studio, and everything. So I'd always he promoted Ritz. He came to 7 years ago, came to Odessa. I was promoting. I was like, oh shoot, Ritz is performing in Hobbs. Yeah, I gotta go get some tickets. So I hit this guy up from I seen the promotion online. We ended up shooting pool all night, and then we ended up teaming up and playing some Cowboys in pool all night and beat them and drank tequila for free for 5 hours. And then we got to talking music. I mean, of course, he loves hip hop, and so do I. So I mean, hey, we became friends. And then I work in Hobbs a lot for what I do for work. Especially back then, I used to travel. I'd go over there to a studio and hang out, go eat, play dominoes, and we'd sit out there and I'd watch him record people because I mean, he engineers, he produces beats and everything. We'll sit there and I'll watch him make beats. I'll watch him record himself, record other people, or we'll just listen to music. Take Nine, Ritz, whatever, System of a Down. A little bit of everything. We got to hang out and stuff, and then became pretty good friends. And then one day we're sitting there years later, start freestyling and stuff, and he said, why don't you ever think about recording a song? I said, I don't know. Never really crossed my mind. I never really figured I could sing much, or I didn't even think it's any good. But he said, dope, man. So I said, okay, so I'll give it a try. And so I was at the gym. See, I kind of put that on the back burner for a little bit. I was at the gym one day running, working out and stuff, and I started listening to some Wu-Tang Clan. Sitting there listening to Wu-Tang and was like, you know what? Hey, I just listening to the beat in between sets or something. I'd sit there on my phone and started like jotting down lyrics. That I was like, what would it be like to kind of put together the thoughts of a song? I don't even know how to put a song together, but what would be the thoughts of it? So I start going there, do. I write a little song and I hit him up and say, hey, what would you charge me to make me a beat and then do a verse on it? So he gives me a number. I said, okay, that's more than reasonable. Let's do it. I want to try it. I want to test myself. So that's how it born. But now we fast forward back to the gathering, and I went with him. He said, because we're pretty good friends at this point. It's 5 years later. He said, hey, we're sitting at Applebee's having a beer, and he took a shot. And he said, you want to go to the gathering of the Juggalos? And I'm like, what? What do you mean go to the gathering of the Juggalos in Indiana? I mean, because Indiana is 15 hours away or something, 18 hours away. I've never been to Indiana in my life. He said, you want to go to the gathering of the Juggalos in Indiana? I was like, maybe. So I look at the lineup and start seeing this. Okay, of course, ICP, and then start seeing Morris Day and the Times, War. Then I see Bone Thugs, Tech Nine, Twisted Insane, Odd Squad Family. I was like, hey, let's go. I was like, that's right up my alley. Just a big, huge, diverse lineup of music of every genre. So like, this sounds amazing. And I've always heard about it. I was like, I want to go check out the experience. Like, I want to go hang out there and see what it's like. Awesome. We get there the first day, and he performed on the Shazam stage. I think we got there 4 o'clock. We performed at 5 o'clock on Thursday. I think this is maybe the second day of the gathering. No, we performed one day on Wednesday and then one day on Friday. So yeah, Wednesday we get there about 5 o'clock, and they perform on the secondary stage, not the huge main stage, but at the still a big stage up there. I mean, nicest stage I'd ever been on to this day. But we go up there, and then they give us our own little trailer and stuff. Says Money Side Musica. We get to use it for 4 hours before and after, for a little bit to hang out and party and whatnot. It was cool. And it was him, one of our buddies, Roach Joker, another artist, Smooth Gambino, and DJ Foulmouth. We all kind of traveled together up there, like a big ass road trip. So we performed and everything, and then the next day, because I was a big Odd Squad fan, me and my wife listened to him, liked him a lot. We're sitting there after the performance stuff. He had set up his little merch booth and whatnot out there, some CDs and shirts he'd made, and had a canopy and sold lokes, and we're sitting there, and then I look over here like this, see Nubs and Snowman walking over here, and A Factor right behind him. Like, what the hell? That's cool. I mean, that's one of the people I was excited to see on the show that I really wanted to go for. So they stopped by the booth, and then Nubs didn't have any glasses, so we gave him a pair of lokes, and we ended up sitting there. Over here, I can't smoke because of work, but I mean, everyone was blowing blunts, smoking, had a 7-foot bong, but yeah, we sit there and finished a bottle of Ciroc Redberry, me and the Odd Squad family, while they're sitting there smoking with their other friends and DJ and stuff. So it was a pretty cool, surreal experience. And then they said, "Hey, they said, you know what? If you ever get into music, let us know, and we'll get you a feature." So that's on that Time Travel album. I got a verse from Nubs, and then on the Trials and Tribulations album, I did a verse with Snowman. And I was like, to me, as an artist, like back then, I didn't even know I was gonna make music. It's kind of cool to fast forward 2 years later. Okay, now I got a song with these guys that I looked up to and loved their music. Kind of impacted my life. I was like, that's pretty cool journey and thing to actually put into real time. It wasn't okay, I met him at a show and talked to him for 5 seconds and took a picture. I got to sit there for an hour and a half and laugh and hang out with them.
It just goes to show the power of festivals in general.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe not so much the Coachellas. I don't really know what the vibe's like there, but more of those underground festivals that are more like that are more you could turn around and the motherfuckers right there wanting to party with you for some random reason. So
do you know? Have you ever listened to Kung Fu Vampire?
Yes.
Yeah, saying that we actually because the guy that I'm talking about, Trouble, he promotes shows over there in New Mexico. So one of the shows I went and performed at on Thursday, but he's brought down Busy Bone, Devin the Dude, Ritz. Kung Fu Vampire's been there 3 or 4 times, and his drummer Brandon. Like we sit there and we hang out with him and drink with them at the bar before and after they perform, and it was kind of cool going to the gathering. And then they recognized us there from some tour stop in New Mexico that they're hanging out. They're, hey, you're the guys from Hobbs, right? And we sit there and talk, and we're hanging out with Kung Fu Vampire and his drummer watching ICP up on the stage, and I think it was Vinny Paz and Ari the Rugged Man, Jedi Mind Tricks.
Still, that's fucking blessed.
Yeah, Jedi Mind Tricks was performing, and we're sitting there hanging out with Kung Fu Vampire and his drummer Brandon.
That's like one of those stories that would make a lot of people super jealous that you got to experience.
It was, yeah, it was an unreal experience too. Because I mean, me, I liking wrestling and having like just aggressive nature. I love the mosh pit, but it was cool because over there, because everyone moshes, but everyone's super cool. Like no one like gets mad, and I mean, it was one of the like freest environments I've ever been in. Like anything and everything you could see goes on, but no one gives a shit about anything. They worry about themselves and hey, have a good time, and no one worries about shit.
That's serious. Then you got the wrestling and everything else. Like it's just like a vibe. I don't know. I've watched a lot.
The moshing was awesome, man. I just sit there and just take my shirt off. Sometimes just like hang out and fucking listen to music, party, go and mosh. And that me and the guy Roach Joker, we made a song together called Mosh Pit Music, and that actually the whole song is made off of what happened at the gathering. Because every time I saw a mosh pit, they're like, "You're a crazy fucker." Because every time I say a mosh pit, I'd go get in it and have some fun. And they're like, "Nah, we're good." I ain't gonna get all exhausted or get beat up.
Nah, I hit the point where like I don't mind like being in the pit, but not like the part where it's scary. That's not my favorite. I want to be on the outskirts where you just bump into people.
Bounce a little bit here and there.
Yeah, because I'm like 5'7" and not that muscly, so it doesn't sound fun to get the shit kicked out of me in the pit, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely you either have to hate it or love it. But sometimes I'm the same way. I get tired and I want to go bounce around. I don't want to go in there every time and like bang and lower my shoulder. And
but don't get me wrong, I want to be in it. Just not like that. When you see a circle form, I'm like, fuck that. Let me navigate that way a little bit. And then you just got to deal with the squished, the unsquished, the squished, the unsquished, because the circle squishes you.
Yeah, the first mosh pit I ever got into, it actually wasn't too long. I mean, 6-7 years ago, we went to River City Rock Fest, and I think it was Five Finger Death Punch, and I moshed for like 6 songs, and I was like, where have I been? Where's this been my whole life? This is awesome. And I got to mosh at Metallica at Cowboy Stadium in Dallas.
I know my first one was the Vans Warped Tour of 06 in their Montreal stop.
Nice. That was cool.
I just have this vivid memory. It was like Less Than Jake or somebody like that starts playing. And like me and the girl I was dating at the time are standing at an appropriate distance away from the crowd because she has this phobia where the mosh pits is a huge no, this, that, the next thing. We turn around and it's like a sea of giant, like mid-30s at this time, tattooed men just start barreling. It was like for her the most terrifying experience of her fucking life. And then you got nowhere to go but into that crowd. And then I had to like get her out of it, and it was like a serious. But it was for me amazing. That was fun. That was a great experience. But to me, it's like it's great. Just like where else can you kind of legally bump into people in aggressive ways? And like let's say somebody does bother you, give them a little fucking nudge a little bit.
And this will sound even crazier, but I mean it's a gathering of the Juggalos. So what do you expect? Especially when you ever listen to that? It's kind of like a, I guess, metal trap or trap, Ghostman, like that type of music.
I know what that is. Yes, I like it.
Yeah, they had Ghostman was up there performing at the gathering too, and they had the lights going. The bass was, I mean, it was insane. It was a crazy mosh pit. We went out there and just moshed out there for that, and then in the middle of that, people were throwing like fireworks, like mortar shell, artillery shells in the middle of the mosh pit, like little grenades. it was insane. And of course, people get hit in the head with Faygo, and I mean, sometimes full 2-liter Faygo bottles. And
I don't know if I'm young enough for that level of fucking mosh pit, to be honest with you.
It was a little bit crazy. It wasn't like that at every mosh pit, but once you got towards the end of the weekend, and it was like the main stage. I mean, because people sit out there and they bring their own like I say anything goes, like anything goes
I
there.
mean, I can
There's just
picture where certain intoxicants might make you a little bit more aggressive than the ones I fuck with, especially if anything goes.
yeah, and by the very end of it, they had bonfire, the picnic tables, big old fires were set in the middle of the crowd while people were out there moshing and stuff. It was nuts.
Oh my gosh! So you're saying dip out before the last day of the gathering if you want to go?
Well, if you want to see the Fago Armageddon and ICP, you gotta wait till the last day. But that's when all the crazy shit happens.
That's fair. I mean, it's like you want to see it, but you don't want to be like I don't know. I have like mixed feelings, but I'm sure if I was there, I'd be fucking in the vibe. Like, how could you miss it? Like that's
Yeah, you kind of just get caught up in the moment. 'Cause, I mean, it's just wild.
legitimately watched multiple of their gathering of the Juggalo performances on YouTube because their showmanship at that, like they go in. They treat that shit
hard.
like Vince McMahon treats WrestleMania. Like it's fucking cool. Like almost no, I would say like a lot of people might hate their music, but as an independent artist, watching what they did with that, it took them 15 years to make it profitable, and then it became profitable. Like that's like fucking Amazon type shit. Losing money on some shit for 15 years before it becomes profitable. That's some, like, yo, I saw them doing this kind of, and it just inspired me a lot. I'm like, but yo, Juggalos will fucking die for ICP.
It's crazy. It is crazy how much loyalty they built, and that to me alone, that's where I get the respect for the brand, respect for the music, and respect for Juggalos, is because first of all, being there was an amazing experience. The people were freaking awesome. I mean, I don't know how many times we whooped, but it was lots of whoop whoops. I couldn't even whoop anymore by the end of the weekend. But man, the people were awesome. The show was great. I mean, just kind of the free atmosphere and how all the artists, just kind of like one of those times where literally everyone gathers and comes together and puts all the bullshit aside and just has fun.
That's super blessed. I'm gonna try and get myself down there one time. I know for a fact the girlfriend won't come, so I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna get down there and with who. But you did not make my case easier of convincing her to go. I promise you that much.
I mean, it's really, really tame, and the music is awesome.
Nah, I mean, she can Google. Everyone can Google it. I was recently like, Chila, tequila fan. The Juggalos butchered her on stage. I mean, like, shit, man. Juggalos can be high.
Yeah, I don't think that was a crazy thing. I've read that story too, but yeah, I think as a whole, that's not what you should expect.
No, I feel like it's more like, I don't know, outcasting. That would be more like what I would expect. All right, so how do you end up getting into music? It's after that, after you go to the gathering, you actually get into COVID. So you've gone to the gathering, you've been a hype man, and you met a bunch of famous people and partied with them. All right, so I can see how maybe you're feeling a bug when COVID kicks in and you get free time a little bit later on, right? Because that's what, 8 months later, something like that.
Yeah, 7-8 months later, because August of 2019, that is and the cool thing is we got to perform as the 20th annual the Super Gathering, which is the 20th one that had, so they went big on the whole thing. And same thing. It was just a real inspiring experience because I got to meet Twisted Insane as well. And I mean, he was one of my favorite rappers beforehand. And now me and him and Trouble Oak did a song together on one of Trouble's beats. So,
yeah, serious. My homeboy Chris Chrome was gonna edit this and gonna trip balls, and I'm gonna get a DM when he gets to this part of the video. I promise.
Yeah, he's a Twisted Insane fan.
Yeah, big time.
Oh yeah. We made a song called Computer Screens. It's definitely dark and fits the vibe of what he goes with. Him. It's interesting. If he wants to, just let me know and I'll shoot him a link.
He absolutely fucking wants it. I promise.
Yeah, I guess later on today or tomorrow I'll shoot you a link of it. Whatever listening thing we can do.
That's fresh, man. No, but that's cool. So how did you get a feature with Twisted Insane?
Hey, kind of same way. Was just at the gathering. Like I got the feature from 2 guys from Odd Squad family, Nubs and Snowman, 2 of the 3, just by hanging out with them. And after Twisted Insane's performance, he came over there to the side of the stage and was hanging out talking to everyone. And so I went and met him over there, and same thing. Just kind of talked to him, like back and forth, BS a little bit. He said, "Hey, if you ever need a feature, holler at me. I'll get you a good price."
Bro, all I'm saying is all I gotta do is go to the gathering to meet these people.
Yeah, just go to the gathering and interact and have fun. And
we got 2 questions from the crowd. I'm telling you, people don't get it. This is the perfect interview. We barely talk about music shit. It's just regular people shit all day long, and then people stay interested because they don't know what's coming next. Honestly, this is the ideal thing for me.
Oh, dude, it's awesome. I mean, we're 2 hours later, and I hadn't even had to really think about it. I've probably been rambling more than I need to.
Nah, it's perfect. That's what we want. So, what's your favorite Twisted Insane project?
I really like that. The double album, the Insane Asylum was really good. I really like that one. But I'm gonna say, since I got into Twisted Insane later on in my life, I'm probably most impacted, especially because he had Ritz on there. I'm a huge Ritz fan. The Sick James is probably my favorite one. He did that dual album a couple Octobers ago.
And the other question is, how do you feel about trying out battle rapping? Because with your energy, you might do pretty well with that.
You know what? That's something I've thought about in the past. I think it would be fun, but also a lot of times when it comes to music, I kind of like to get away from the aggressive confrontation. I like making aggressive music, but I feel like I don't think I'd want to. I think it would kind of dampen music for me a little bit as far as battle rapping, because it kind of bring me into something that I'm kind of already intertwined with, and sometimes I don't know how I take it. I think I might get more into my personal feelings, like a little irritated and kind of aggressive and feeling disrespected. I don't really like that feeling, so it's not something that I'd say I would never do, but it's not something I'm really too interested in.
I empathize entirely, because personally,
I feel like I'd want to get mad and get into a fight or something. So I mean, and
here's what it is. I'm gonna be real with you. I'll go battle with somebody that I liked. They would say some shit that would hit me. Like, they would come up with some shit. Just some shit that they knew would get me. And it would get me. I would never motherfucking talk to them again for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm fucking petty like that.
Yeah, it'd be. I'm one of the people that I can definitely forgive easy, but I'll never forget no matter what. So I might still be cool and then, but it'll always be in the back of my mind, like, this motherfucker.
I feel
had to go there. He had to go there.
All right, so how did you get into music? Like, so COVID kicks in. How do you actually get to a point where you're like, I'm gonna fucking be a rapper now?
Well, yeah, that time I went to Trouble Oak Studios, sitting in there, and we were just talking. He's like, why don't you ever record a song? If you ever want to, man, I'll make you a beat or something. I'll make you a custom beat, and just let me know, and I'll help you out. All right, cool. So one day it just clicks. I'm at the gym working out, listening to Wu-Tang Clan. And then what's the other guy's name? Ace Hood. One of his songs came on. I was just listening to different type of beats, different styles, different eras, and started just thinking of things like lyrics in my head. Just kind of little story stuff that was on my mind. And I'm sitting there going, and I'm like, all right. That's at that exact moment, I messaged my buddy. Hey, what's up? And so what would you think about making me a beat and doing a verse on the song if I were to put one together? Hey, I'm with it, man. He's like, I already told you. He's like, you should try it and see if you like it. So I did it. First experience was horrible. I hated it. 73 songs later, here we are.
I mean, okay, so tell us about the horrible first experience.
Well, to me, I've always listened to music, but I've never thought about it as far as composing music and putting it together myself. And so, to me, the bars I don't feel were horrible, but the delivery thing was something different. Like, trying to, I overrode everything to get it to actually sound smooth and flow on the beat. I could get on beat, but there'd always be parts where I just mess up. And even back then, I was like, I don't want to punch anything in. I was stubborn, just saying they were cutting late.
Classic beginner rapper moves.
Yeah, stubborn. I was like, I want to put the whole 16 in there without punching anything in. And I was like, at that point, it's more about what can I do, not what can it sound like. It sound like
you said it perfect. I know a lot of people who are like that. I used to be a lot more like that. I'm lying. I'm in the process of learning how to be more about what it sounds like than what I can do. It's a process.
Yeah, you got to. There's a breakthrough. You got to get past something, because I finally Well, okay, I don't care if I got to punch in eights and eights or even fours and fours and fours and fours, then I'll do it. As long as everything sounds cohesive and it sounds good. If it sounds better that way, I'll do it. And so, yeah, we get there, and we recorded a song on my first album, it's still on the Father Time, the present album, because I did a dual album when I first started. So I'm real stubborn. Whenever I get into something, I really like hone in and focus on it. So I made 23 tracks in 3 months when I first started.
23 tracks in 3 months. Was it all with your boy?
No, I did it at a few different studios. I got another buddy that I've known that he's DJ'd our party since he's like 14. He's a really good producer. He does a lot of my beats. They call him Trackzilla or DJ A-Track. Yeah, so he has a cool little studio over there. So I recorded a few songs over there. And then, but I recorded them almost every single one over there at that Moneyside studio with my buddy Trouble Oak. So I did those, and then from there I branched out and got a few different beats from different people here and there. But to me, my whole kind of journey of this sort is.
So how do you get the beats? Like, how do you meet these people? Do you just know them, or do you like reach out over the internet, or like, how do you actually get to that part?
You know, and it's kind of the same thing with fighting. I met a lot of people, networked, and met a lot of people through the fighting game. Music has been the same way. I've met some people that I would never do business with, and I definitely wouldn't want to be friends with, because there's a lot of assholes in this game. But there's a lot of people that are really genuine, and it's cool meeting the people that have the same love for music as you. So some of these guys I met them friends of friends. Like I've got a guy who's done 8 or 9 beats for me now, Endless Misfit. I barely met him in person. I performed in Lubbock on Saturday, and that was the first. We've been working together for over a year, and that's the first time I met him in person. He came out to support and watch me at a show in Lubbock, because that's where he lives at. So we met in person there, and I mean, he's a cool dude. So we've always worked together. And we're actually doing a song together now too, on one of his albums.
All right,
We met him. One of the other guys that went to the gathering with us, DJ Foulmouth, he makes beats too. So he's got a couple beats, some groovy kind of West Coast type of thing. So I've got some from him, a lot of them from Trouble Oak. One of his friends who's I actually live in Odessa now, a guy named Smoke to the Ceiling Beats, Nick Stevenson. I never met this guy, and he'd made 13 beats for me. And first time I met him was helping him. I went and picked up a couch for him because his truck wasn't working. He didn't have a truck, so I went and picked up a couch and took it an hour away to where he lives. Then we hung out and talked more. But we've done a lot of business. He's done some of it mix and mastering, cover arts for the Trials and Tribulations stuff. He did that whole project, the beats, the cover art, the mixing and mastering, and he did a lot of my first beats on that first album too. He's a friend of Trouble Oak. Yeah, and then I've met some people along the way from there in different states from that Bring the Bars group. Like the guy Genesis, we've done, I think I've got 4 or 5 or 6 beats from him that I'm working on some new projects. But mostly I just try to keep it like either friends or friends of friends, people local, like West Texas, Southeast New Mexico. I do a lot of my collabs there to kind of help network together, because I mean there's a lot of dope artists around there. Just to kind of expose them to different crowds of people that I know. And
so as you're coming into this in COVID, then is the internet basically the main way you're networking at this point?
Yeah, networking and word of mouth, because I mean that's the first video that I did was the 3rd song I recorded, Rolling Around, and I actually made it 2 songs into one video. There's another one with that guy Lonely that I was talking about, Greenhouse. It's called Watch Your Step, and we made it in. It's like 2 similar but completely different concepts, and we made it into one video. And so that we actually recorded that during COVID over there, and then it goes on the internet. Everyone wants to watch it because I mean, people who know me as Justin the wrestler, Justin the football player, Justin the guy who rides motorcycles, or Justin the guy from school, or I mean, they know me as a bunch of different things. Like, what the hell is going on? This guy's rapping. So, I mean, that one I think had 3,200 views on YouTube, and most of them, I mean, 1,800, something like that. But it's kind of the shock factor. They're like, "What's going on? This guy's rapping. What the hell is this?" So it's cool. I mean, it's like an interesting way to get a whole different brand, I guess.
So basically, you've been running that, so you can't really perform because or can you? I don't really know. You're in the part of the States where fucking shit's weird. I don't know if you can perform or not throughout COVID. But how did you end up finding Bring the Bars?
It was kind of the same way. I mean, I think it was after I made my first double album, that Father Time, Past and Present. Did the present as like a more feel good times. Past is more kind of like back, more aggressive, kind of stupid stuff, whatever. But I was promoting those two albums on like just some different networking sites and stuff for artists and listeners and things of the sort. And I ran into Sean on there, and this was, I guess, when he was first starting Bring the Bars. So we met, talked to each other in there because most of the time people just spam links, drop a link, and fucking disappear. Or they click on it just to click on it and then don't listen to shit on your music. And me and that, I'm not like that. I mean, if I'm gonna listen, if I tell you I'm gonna listen to it, I'm gonna listen to the whole thing and I'm gonna digest it a little bit. So I don't know. There's a lot of disgenuine people just, I mean, basically wanting you to do something for them but nothing back. So me and Sean ran into each other that way, and like, hey, you're a lot, I mean, like-minded like me. Hey, you're working on music, you're grinding, you're trying to get your music out there, you're trying to do it right. So I'm like, okay, cool. And he's like, hey, well, I'm starting this, I got this group, Bring the Bars. So, and then I went and joined it and checked it out. That's when JP the Pompafillion, we've done a couple songs together. He was on the first podcast. I listened to him, and then Siren Sarisi on one of the next ones, and then Mally Music, and all three of us have done collabs together now. And that guy Mally, I was actually working up there in California on this pipeline job, remediation thing. We were up there, and he was like, hey, are you in Fairfield? Close to Fairfield? Because I was in Walnut Creek. I said, yeah, I'm in Walnut Creek. He said, it's 30 minutes away from me. I said, well, I brought my studio equipment. He said, get a spot. He said, I'll get a hotel over here, and we'll record a few tracks on the spot. So we ended up doing that.
Is that the one that's working with Jumping Joe, the rapper?
Yeah, Mally, him and Joe, I think, are doing another album together.
Yeah, that's such a small world.
Yeah, I did a song with Jumping Joe too. He lives 6 hours from me. We're gonna link up sometime.
That's super cool. Jumping Joe is just on the show, so it's I'm familiar with some of these names.
Oh yeah.
That's super cool. I like Jumpin' Joe a lot, and I like the fact that cool, shut up, Bring the Bars. Like, a lot of people on Facebook group line have attempted to pull off what Sean has pulled off. But this motherfucker's actually done it with his like vetting and deleting the old group and chastising everyone like a good mother does. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But nah, honestly, I just posted one time recently. I'm like, fuck that. Who wants to interview? It was so easy. I booked like 6 people. I'm like, this is fucking the simplest shit ever. Next time, fucking... Okay, who didn't I get from Bring the Bars? That's what we're gonna do now. But, that's dope, man, that you, like, ingratiated into that community and that you also commented on the power of, paying attention to the music you listen to. Believe it or not, I met this dude, Chemo, the Key to More Greatness. That's his rap name. Chemo, the Key to More Greatness. All of that. Now, in my life, he unlocked more greatness and was a key. So I'm like, fair enough. I don't know about everyone else, but at least for a couple of moments in my life, that's fact. So I stand by your name for life. Anyway, so this dude is in a fucking Facebook group one time, because y'all fucking hate Facebook groups. Like, yes, if you dig through the fucking crates, you'll find Sean's and fucking other people that are interesting, but like, I'd rather have somebody dig through the crates for me at this point, personally, because it's painful in Facebook group line. The worst part is like, you see like 192 comments on a post. You're like, bro, nobody's looking at fucking anything here. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah, you got 187 links and like 2 comments on maybe 1 or 2 of them.
Like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, so Chemo's like, I bet nobody's gonna fucking click on this video and like. I'm like, motherfucker, you do not know who saw this post. So I clicked on his shit and I fucking liked it and I commented and I fucking took a screenshot and I'm like, fuck you. I did. And then he got me booked at 2 opportunities during COVID. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. Go figure. Listen to one guy's music, and I got 2 performance opportunities at a time when everyone was complaining about not leaving the house. And I'm like, that's fucking wild.
For sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of power in it. Do you do Facebook group a lot? Is it like, what are your preferred online internet network? I say it because, like, I don't know, man. Like, how to play the internet game in 2021 is so fucking weird.
It is, man. It changes all the time too. That's especially with like Facebook changing the way they did everything. I think last October or whenever it was, they kind of switched up the thing to basically force you into trying to pay for promo and stuff like that.
That's an ongoing. It's just every year it gets worse.
Yeah, it gets worse and worse because I mean I'll notice that like I know it's because my content's getting better, but I mean it's like stuff goes out there and you just play it. But a lot of people sometimes one thing you'll post it'll have nothing. You'll post the same thing, different time. 2 days later to have 60 likes or 60 reactions, and sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. But it kind of definitely changes the reach. So I think as far as that, it's always like it's kind of strategic, really. I mean, I use Facebook, Instagram, I use Snapchat, but mostly just for people that I know. I post a lot, like if I perform, I post some things on there. If I got a new video or something, a new song, I'll put something just for my everyday life. Like whenever I was working over there in the Bay, we went into this tunnel that had all this cool graffiti in it. I'd play my song or something, just kind of checking out the tunnel and put it on Snapchat, Instagram.
Bro, you just described TikTok.
Yeah. I started a TikTok maybe 3 months ago, but I've only used it a couple times.
Yo, I'm like trying to be the worst rapper on TikTok. Let me put it to you like this. I fucking swear. I get an idea. It'll be like, I'll open my phone, I'll hit the fucking button, and it'll be some shit like, yo, the cat's sitting in the chair staring at me. I don't like it when the cat's fucking staring at me. I'm trying to work and the cat's fucking annoying. And it's just that. Just some bullshit. Yeah. I'm like trying to make it like so not lit. I don't know how else to put it. I'm like, I'm not going to try. I try everywhere else in my life. I'm going to make the worst shit of my life on TikTok. And I've gotten like 2 fans out of it. But yo, so I'm doing these acapellas. And this next man's just releases a video where he added fucking beats under me. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. That's a thing that people do. So then man hits me up and goes, bro, send me a real acapella that you fucking spit. And I'll make a real. And I'm like, off of doing bullshit TikTok raps with fucking Seeb Dread? I'm like, get the fuck out. Like, this is crazy shit. Yeah, me and Seeb Dread rap at each other sometimes.
Nice. What's called? Me and Seeb are actually doing a song together right now.
That's sick. Yo, you should jump on TikTok and like be like, yo, and then you tag them, right? So you go, yo, Seeb Dread, we're doing a song right now. Gotta tell the whatever. And then Seeb will respond, and then I'll be like, yo, KronOz, what the fuck? Where and then we create like a little ecosystem of TikTok people just rapping regular shit.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. And I've actually met a lot of. Seems like you guys are on a similar network, because I met Willie through there. He's played a lot of some of my music on his Twitch shows, kicking it with Willie live on Fridays.
That's it.
He's played a lot of my albums on there, man. He's a cool dude, and I did a little quick 8 bars for his cipher that he's got coming up, and then me and Too Bad, I met him through the We Do For We group, and that's kind of how I came across Seeb too, between Bring the Bars and We Do For We, and so me and Too Bad are doing a song right now together too.
Yeah, that's what it is. Willie's the homie. Like we like met over Kicking It Live way back in the day, and I liked what Willie had to say about my music. Fucking everybody on his show hates my music, and I accept it. I don't hate it, but like you can tell when they like some shit and they don't fuck with your songs. It is what it is. I'm not salty. Willie's show has a vibe, and I fuck with Willie's show's vibe, but it's got me a hell of a lot of interviews. I'll be like, so we'll be there. Willie will be playing the fucking song, and then Ismail will be there, and Ismail will be like, when is this guy getting an interview? And then I'm like, well, what the fuck what am I supposed to do now, right? Like, my fucking logo's on his fucking show. I can't be a dick, so I start booking people, and so far they've been fucking great. None of them sucked. So I just keep doing this method.
Nice. Whatever's clever. I mean, just random and go into it.
Yeah, Kicking It Live with Willie is a great place, honestly.
Yeah, it's a cool show. What's Too Bad's got that radio show in the 806. It's cool.
I have yet to check it one time. Sorry, Too Bad if that's what it is. But it's partly because I go live 6-7 days a week. Like, I fucking am overbooked this week. I realized by accident I built out a schedule and blah, blah, blah. And then shit like Ismail linked me with this guy in South Africa. So now I'm doing some Sunday morning interview in a couple of weeks. So, like,
nice.
It's just kind of like, yo, I mean, imagine this, but we're learning about South Africa shit. Like, tell me that wouldn't be fucking litty, right? Like, who else is not excited at the idea that's going down, I think, the 11th? I don't know. This fucking next man's wants to do his first Twitch stream through my fucking channel, so we're doing that on Canada Day. We're
Nice.
not that into Canada these days.
Yeah.
Nah, but for real, it's some fucked up shit. But like, you know, it's just cool. Yo, would you fuck with Twitch? Like, why are you not on Twitch? You're a talker.
I don't know, man. I think a lot of it's just kind of making the time, having the time, because I've got a wife and 3 kids, and the 4th one on the way in between work. I try to get as much in as I can and
That is
network and get through it.
Pretty fucking good answer. For anyone that doesn't know, Twitch is time intensive. If you say words like kids and wives, and that's a real reason, you probably do not have time for Twitch. No, like if you don't have 25 hours, honestly, like let's say low at 25 hours a month to dedicate to it, you can't even keep monetization kind of things, or you can't get monetized. So it's like, what's the fucking point? So like I'm putting in like 90 to 100 hours a month into this shit. Like it's fucking ludicrous. Like you really can't do that with children, or you're only doing this. You know, like you know.
It'd be too hard for me, and if
But music's faster.
Yeah.
But yo, you put out a fuck ton of music. Like, are you not worried? And I'm asking this just out of sincere curiosity. Like, your volume of just 2021 releases is a lot, which I fuck with personally for a lot of reasons. So I'm curious to know why you're just throwing out all the music, just making it, bang it out, like, just like spitting it out. Why are you like into that version of this marketing plan?
To me, the biggest thing is kind of like, and more as a personal preference. Even, I mean, money intertwined and set aside, because I mean, I got my career and make some money there. But so kind of what I want to do is, and I've been that way. Always hit the ground really fast. And I want to see the progression. I want people to be able to actively see the progression with me, even if they miss some of it along the way. I like to basically, boom, I'm gonna give you what's coming to my head, boom, 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 and what I'm learning from each album. And I mean, I'm kind of slowed down a little bit, because I went through that. I did 2 small EPs. Did the time travel on 219. That's where the significance that most people might not know about. I've only told a few people, and I'm sure most people haven't figured it out. But there's time travel, which is the T and the T, on the 19th. 19 is a big significant number to me. That was on my sports numbers. It's been a lucky number if I hit on roulette. My son was born on the 19th, on April 19th. My first son. So so 219 I put out time travel TT. 319 I came out with another EP. First one had Nebs on it. The second one had Snowman from Auto Squad family, Celia Cortez on the hook, and then also had Tiki Man from the Bring the Bars group, Jumpin' Joe from the Bring the Bars group, and Siren Cyrezi from the Bring the Bars group. We're all on that same EP on the time travel. And then Trials and Tribulation had one collab from Launch Squad family, and then the rest collabs from Bring the Bars, different people, because I'm always trying to work and flex my mind to make sure I can kind of basically, in a sense, keep up with these guys, because I'm barely learning how to rap. So
Fair enough.
I did a song with Otis Isaacs and Bad Habit on that one. And then I did one by myself, basically, which is a song about like snowboarding and all our annual snowboarding trip I take with my family every year. And then we do like basically, and it's an adult trip. It's me and my wife and brother-in-law and stuff. We all go and have a good time and party, drink schnapps on the mountain, snowboard, and jump some stuff and everything in between. And did that. Then did one with JP the Pumpaphilian on there. So that's Trials and Tribulation a month later on 319. Just 5 tracks, another 5-track EP. There's the TT significance on the next month on the 19th. And then the next month was basically a year that I'd been rapping. I told myself that I would, when I first started and I decided I was going to start rapping for real, I wanted to say, okay, I want to learn and get practice by numbers and then just repetitive, just like wrestling, repetitive, boom, 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 boom. So I said, in the first year, I'm going to complete more than 50 studio tracks, everyone exclusive beats, professionally mixed and mastered, and I'm going to do it, put some time into it, and try to get better throughout the process. So the third one in that series I put out was the T3 anniversary album, which, okay, you got T squared, TT, and then that's the third one, so I called it T3 along the way, and then anniversary, because it was one year anniversary to me rapping, and also anniversary because my son's birthday is on that day as well. So I called it T3 the anniversary, and T3 made me think of the Terminator. So I turned myself into a damn Terminator on the cover. So yeah, that's kind of how that one was kind of born and brought about.
You know,
Kinda
you did.
volume.
It's just serious though. Like you're not even worried about that. And I say that not to like be weird about it, but like so many people I know are like, bro, 3-minute songs, gotta put up 3 tracks max, attention spans. So I wrote a hook called "It's Not Attention Spans, They Think You're Boring." That's the moral of this motherfucking story.
It's the truth, and I've talked about that with a lot of people too, especially like the older people that I'm around that have made music for 10, 15, 20 years. Best example, my buddy Trouble Hook, because that dude has some insane bars. I mean, he's real diverse, great musician. He's won 316s. That's had 316s every track, so 5-6 minutes long. I said, and yeah, we've been talking about that today. Kind of the way that the digital era has changed. That I mean, your attention spans go. I mean, it's short because everything's at the touch of our fingertips. We can switch anytime and get anything we want any second. So now you see 212s, and sometimes you see like 112 and a hook or something.
I swear I went to do this track yesterday. And it's like not really hip hop, so keep that in mind. I mean, I'm still gonna rap a little bit, but like, yo, the first verse is an 8. I'm like, is it 8? And then I wrote the 8, and I'm like, that's it? I'm like, this is the easiest shit ever. I don't care what anyone says. An 8? And then the next verse was like a fucking 12 or something. I'm like, what? And then the chorus, which doubled, so it was like 4 times 2. I'm like, yo, honestly, I can't really play anybody to track because it doesn't. It's one of the nicest shits I ever made. It's just like so. It's the re-listenability on it because it's not like too much. You have to be like a head to want to go listen to bars. And I'm not gonna lie, I have to be in a mood to be a head. Like I remember reviewing Black Thought and his fucking lyrical shit. And like trying to think about the bars, and I'm like, man, I'm never gonna do this justice because I ain't never gonna Google this shit.
Yeah,
it sounds amazing, really, but like,
you gotta dive into it, and you really gotta dissect it because there's so much that goes past the surface. You really have to be aware and like able to, okay, am I wanting to take out a music to be able to sit there and analyze every second and every point, or do I want to enjoy the experience? So that's, I think, to me, it's about 60-40.
But like, But like, there's a point where it's like I don't have the time at my age to put the effort in like I did when I'm like 20, when like that's all I fucking did. Like at 20, yo, I'm just sitting there. I remember like being 22, 23, a bit older, like really getting into shit with YouTube open while at a call center at work with Wikipedia, reading motherfuckers' Wikipedia stories and shit. Like just reading, because what else you fucking doing? You're on calls, it's boring. And they didn't have good tracking software back then. So like, it was like, yo, and I can't do that now. Now I'm at work and I have to work. Like I can barely fucking listen to music these days. And you start like just having that context, you know, where it's like, yo, it's not that I don't care about the depth of the magnitude of the art. It's that honestly, a lot more of the time, I just don't have the energy to delve that deep into the philosophy if it's not more blatant.
Yeah. So I get the same way, especially if sometimes I half-ass listen because I'm driving or something, so I'm paying attention to the road and always, I mean, whatever's going on around me. So I'm not able to sit there and hone in and digest every single word. Yeah, I do like to hear some nice punchlines or a couple bars here and there in a dope beat. Like, but if I'm just driving in the car, that's why I don't mind listening to a lot of music. I think, I mean, not the most in-depth or even technical rapper. I enjoy listening to Kevin Gates sometimes when I'm cruising, if I'm in a certain mood. So I really like the vibe. I like that Louisiana kind of Southern style mixed with the beat, and then some of the stuff I can relate to, and some of it's catchy. I mean, it sounds interesting. It sounds different. I mean, whenever it first came out.
I like that 1-4 Owls album that I had to review that was super lyrical, but like still sounded amazing from like a song presence, and stands out to me as one of the greatest albums I heard in 2020, I think. Yo, what's up? Bring the bars late to the fucking party. Oh, we skipped the part where we praised you, but that happened. Don't you worry. Everybody should follow Bring the Bars for when they make the wise move and jump to fucking Twitch. That's all I'm saying.
Is that Sean?
That is Sean. Yeah. I'm assuming Bring the
What's up,
Bars is
Mike?
Sean. I mean, it would be my assumption that because it's like I go by behind that suit because like why the fuck would I go by Holden on Twitch? Get the fuck out of here. Follow the brand, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
um, that's crazy. Like I'm just like sitting there considering like the volume you put out though, and the fact that like you really just care about doing it. But at the same time, I've interviewed a lot of people, and no shots to a lot of people, but your story is just so alive with interesting shit, right? And so I think one of the things that people struggle with when it comes to volume writing is the life experience angles to draw from. Like, bro, if you're willing to write about the last shit you saw kind of thing, and the last shit you saw isn't boring, and you can find non-boring things in your life, then your writing pool never ends. That's what I've come to learn. It's really about like keeping your life alive enough to like continually tap into it. And if you get to like travel all the time, man, you're basically living a lot. I would love to travel all the time, so you're living the dream. But like when you think about it, you're like, bro, traveling for fucking money? I did that once with a per diem, and the per diems are the greatest things that have ever been invented by people. I don't care when you get one.
For sure. Yeah, I mean that's it's one of the hard things, especially having kids and a family and a wife at home. It's hard to travel and be away from them, and that is some of the things I've done though. I work in because I've done environmental consulting and engineering for 11 years. I've got to go to Las Vegas, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, been all over California, been in the Bay, been down in the Valley, been up north, been around Los Angeles. I mean, got to travel all over there. Travel different states. I've probably been to 8 or 9 different states for work and get paid a per diem. They pay for your flights, your rental cars, your hotel, and food and everything else. I mean, it's
yeah, it's pretty blessed.
From that aspect, it's great. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I mean,
get to see some new things.
Yeah, you gotta come to Montreal. I mean, I know King Canada over there is saying come to Canada because he's not up in Liddy, Montreal. But trust, come to Montreal. We'll get King Canada to come down here.
So Montreal is better than Ottawa, huh?
Fuck yeah. There's not even a fucking comparison, my guy. We're talking 4 million people versus a town by comparison. We're talking like downtown Ottawa is like, bro, that's the Monkland Village. That's some shit up in NDG type shit. I've been to Ottawa's like, no offense to Ottawa. Ottawa is good for like museums. Like if you want museums, my guy, go to Ottawa. If you want like
Montreal?
Everything
but museums?
No, there's museums. Just I'm giving Ottawa its props. It has better museums. Ottawa's cleaner. It is pretty incredible how being the nation's capital keeps your fucking city clean. But yo, Montreal's lit. Plus like you get access to like a bunch of us, cause we're in Montreal. And the city's huge, and let's say you come in like X time, like yo, Willie Scandals is already getting into the promoting game again. Partying's lit. We'll get you access to the good stuff, we'll say, which you can then legally consume on camera because it's legal in the place you'll be in, as opposed to I don't know if you can do that, but whatever you want to, like it's all here. And food, like the food is fucking ridiculous actually. Food is pretty fucking lit. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like it's there, but yo, I don't care what your vibe is. It exists in the city in some capacity, but like it's not. It's like it's not quite New York City, but like it's pretty fucking like it. Like Toronto, you need a fucking guide for. So if you don't have a guide, don't go to Toronto. Montreal, you can get by just wandering around. That would be my best way to put it. I don't know fuck all about Vancouver. It exists. Otherwise, I don't know where else you'd want to go in Canada. Like, like maybe Ottawa, but like, where else?
I think the only place I'd try to go other than that then would be Whistler, just to go see what it's about.
Also, like if you're into like indie wrestling though, the Maritimes is lit. Like if you're into indie wrestling, there's a lot of other options. Quebec's got indie wrestling too though. Like straight up, there's a bunch of shit in Montreal. Like I'm telling you, whatever the fuck you're into probably exists here, and I don't even know about it because I don't try that hard. But like I don't know, like the greater Montreal area, which includes like the fucking everything, is 4 million people. Like New York City's 8 million people, just to give context. Like
That's huge.
geographically, we're smaller, I think. We're more compact. But like at a population level, it's a fuck ton of people, of which 12% are English. So 12% in the areas I can guide you through, speak the right language to communicate with you with ease.
There we go. Sounds good to me, man. So how big of a city is it? Like, is it like cover a lot of land, or you say it's real compact, like worse than New York City?
I don't know. I've never been in New York City. I just looked at it on Google Maps and it looked like it was more spread out. I don't know how compact it is, and then I don't know how real the both population numbers are. I just know what the stats say. I know that Montreal, but okay, fair warning, it's French as fuck and they're assholes about it. And I'm real big on my language politics right now because I found out the government just fucking passed a law that makes it illegal to play English music in government facilities or on the government hold line because one person working at the government heard an American singer when they called the hold line. And I found out that that's a new, like, that's the shit our government actually does, man. So, like, yeah, now it's just illegal to have English music playing in public government facilities, which means, like, you gotta think about that. That could include like a hospital or some shit. I don't know if it does. I really don't. Don't quote me on that, motherfuckers. But like it really extends to like more and more places over time. And then, well, once it's hit that, it starts moving into the private sector a little bit because motherfuckers will copy the government a little bit. And yo, it's like this weird like assault on the English language based on some archaic norms that don't even make sense because the youth is all bilingual and shit because they're fucking want to make money. And like, yo, it's like, I mean, it sounds like crazy, but in the last year, they've done shit like in the island of Montreal, which really is where the 12% of English is at. Fucking made it illegal, made it that medical care in a Montreal hospital does not have to be provided in English. Montreal, like, come the fuck on. We want the world to come here.
Yeah, that's crazy. So if I were to go to the capital or to the hospital, I couldn't play KronOz on my phone.
I don't know about that. I no, they can't. You could probably play it.
So the buildings themselves can't play it to the public.
But that's like a
Okay.
crazy like start of something, right? And the thing is
Oh,
there's
yeah.
no government option that we can vote for that won't move forward with that agenda. It's fucking whack, actually. Like it's stuff that like we didn't think a lot about, and not enough of us talk about it. So Lanson brought it up here, and I'm like, yo, fair points. With that being said, if you need to go to the hospital, homeboy, we bilingual up in this bitch. We got you.
I'm just hoping I don't have to end up in a hospital in Canada anytime, especially if
Yo,
I go to Montreal. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you might want to look into travel insurance. I'm like, it's free for me. It's not free for you.
I was about to say, if I get hurt, I'm gonna go to Montreal. Hey, I came up here to visit you guys. I gotta go to the hospital real quick and get surgery.
Yo, no, I think there's better places for that. Nah, but if you came up here, just be lit. All I can say is don't necessarily come in the winter because nobody wants that snow. Like, there's nothing. Trust, nobody's going out. We're all old now. No, we hibernate for like 6 months, and then the other 6 months is fucking ridiculously awesome and is absolutely worth being here for. Like, just being able to go to like the Tam Tams, like this mountain. It's not a mountain, it's a hill, but we call it a mountain because fuck that. And you go to this thing and everybody's just banging on drums and shit, and it's like, even when weed was illegal, you could smoke weed there because everybody was smoking weed there. So like, it was just a vibe, but you didn't have to smoke weed there. It was just a vibe. And like, then you like fucking, like, it's a mountain, so it's a hill, so you can go explore it and climb and go through fucking forests, and then you come across larpers, like the guys with the fucking styrofoam fucking swords. Dude, I ended up wearing gladiator gear running through fucking so like, you get like that kind of shit in Montreal, and it's fucking lit like that. Yes, all 4 seasons are beautiful. Respond to the chat. Don't come in the winter unless you want to freeze.
Yeah, I'll have to bring all my snowboarding gear if I do come.
If you like that, it's probably lit though. Actually, you might want to come if you're into that world.
Oh yeah. I like going to Tahoe. We were there one time. It snowed like 48 inches in like 36 hours.
Fair enough.
It was a lot of fun. I'll say that I like it if I'm strapped to a piece of wood flying down a mountain drinking peppermint schnapps.
I respect that. That's a fair time to enjoy the cold. I
If not, I might not want to stand out inside and walk around and work in it every day.
absolutely trash. Honestly, like for me, it was this winter with the work from home, and I didn't have to like go outside if it was fucking cold. It was the best winter of my life. So, shout out to work from home, made my life better.
Yeah, that's been a great thing. That was probably the only good thing other than the stock market that came out of COVID. Was yeah, just being able to work from home. I've enjoyed that a lot more. Set up, take my monitor and everything from work and all my connectors and everything, and just work from the house. It makes it a lot easier and less stressful.
That's fresh. So, what comes next for you, Mister KronOz?
Well, next, yeah, continue. Got a baby in November. As far as music coming next for me, I'm actually working on a sequel to Time Travel, which is the first of that series earlier this year in February. I'm working on one now called World Travel, and that's going to be the one that Steve Dread's going to be on, Too Bad's going to be on, RAP from the Bringing the Bars group from Canada is going to be on, and then I'm working on some collaborations in Ireland, the UK, 3 artists in Africa, 1 or 2 in the States, and it's going to be called World Travel. I'm basically just wanting to branch out to that network right there.
Yeah, it's mad tech man of you.
And just work with different
I love it.
Different artists, different cultures, different things. I mean, that's what I enjoy. You listen to my music, there's a collaboration on about 90% of it because I just love making projects with other people, kind of making something cohesive out of 2 different brains and off of a beat.
No, for real. Like I love the way you're approaching it, and I think it's super nifty because unlike a lot of people I talk to, you're my age, but you just started. Even myself, I'm my age, but I started like almost a decade back, man. So like my whole perception on this is not the same. Like I'm a little more old man in this shit than I would like to admit. I'm gonna be real with you. But like you're coming at this with almost this like youthful perspective just due to the circumstances of having to come in like you're 17 right now. Except with the means to like bang out tracks proper and shit.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that kind of just makes it a different experience from what I've seen, and maybe even what's a little off-putting from the local regional scenes and stuff of everything that comes in between that's not favorable. But yeah, I think having the means to financially to kind of help it, and having the people around you that believe in you and so you get to network and they help out a lot. And that's what I really loved about meeting Too Bad and Steve and Willie and those guys. They're real. It's a lot different mentality than a lot of people here in the States. I mean, a lot of people in the States, they only care about money.
Yeah, it's super nifty to hear you say that. I would love to hear more of your perspectives on people like that. I mean, shout out all of them. I see Too Bad putting in his work. I see Willie doing his thing. Yo, Willie does all this fucking great shit, like fucking music for miracles, or he's fucking raising money for the community. Yo, like, Willie doesn't like to talk about this shit. That's fine. Whatever. Willie does a lot of great shit like that people don't even know about because Willie's never going to talk about it except for that one time I peer pressured him on camera to do it. No, but like it's super cool to see you reach out like that so internationally. Like I'm not gonna lie, currently I'm very hyper focused on Montreal on some like English politics shit, but I realized like I'm kind of denying myself the opportunity to like fucking work with people like such as yourself, where like I have my bullshit mixtape series. It's just supposed to be fun.
Yeah,
like I say,
it's
you know, like
fun to listen to.
I don't know, man. They take no time at all. The effort I put into writing these songs is I hear the beat, I think of the hook, I put the hook down. Does the hook suck? And suck is very loose in this term because we're not making studio here. Yo, mixtapes back in the day was like one take shit for real. They're free. You would have a radio freestyle poorly comprise a track on like a fucking freestyle on a mixtape sometimes, like, right? Like, yo, I once copped one of these old Eminem mixtapes. It was got bullshit quality on it. So like quality wasn't the focus. It was about the energies and shit. And then I'm like, I mean, you could rap about whatever the fuck you want because it's not an album. Who the fuck cares? It's just songs that you just spit and shit on. So I'm running with this. I'm gonna, like, legitimately, I think tomorrow I'm gonna just start the next one on like some internal joke shit because of who the next beat maker is and whatever, and just like grab it, bang out a little one in like 40 minutes or whatever, and like just I don't know, a couple weeks, drop the next one, a couple weeks later, and then inevitably like expand it more and more. But what's crazy is already somebody sent me a bunch of beats and said, these are for your mixtape. Do yours. And I'm like, oh, that's nifty. That's a good follow up to the story. And then somebody else is like, we're going to go to the cottage. Next man is actually going to mix it because you're trash. And I'm like, I am trash. And I'm like, wow, this is fucking weird. You know, like, I mean, like, you know, when you think about an idea and you're like, maybe. And then you're like, whoa, knocked it out the park by accident on that one. But it's like to me, it's like you either like it or you don't, and fuck it, I'm gonna put out so many songs that like ideally, if you go through them all, you'll find like 12 you fuck with.
Yep. And that's my goal, anyways. With mine is especially too. I mean, by putting out mass volumes like that, I kind of want to show my diversity and my growth, my progression, things of the sort, just to kind of showcase. Okay, this is what I've been doing. Hey, I've been working. This is my proof. Here, let me turn it in for you. Here's my card. Blah blah blah. But because I mean, I've made stuff on reggae beats. I've made stuff on a reggaeton beat in Spanish, like Spanish English mix on a couple songs, and yeah, just some kind of like West Coast stuff, some more aggressive East Coast beats, some trap type stuff, some darks, Southern stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna take a break real quick and run to the restroom.
They're never gonna watch this. Facebook has like what, a fucking video watch time of like 6 seconds, and then they fucking dip. Counts the video. Facebook's trash. But you know what? You know why I keep the Facebook? Because there is like a small number of people who catch the live video on Facebook and come hang out on the Twitch after. And I see it happen enough to know that it works. Just enough. A little bit. So I keep doing it.
That's me.
But like, yeah, so that's it. That small percentage of people that it works on, I'm like, well, those people might not have come on otherwise because Twitch isn't notifying them.
That's actually the first way that I watched Willie's show, because that's how I found out about his Twitch. I never even heard of Twitch anyways, and then I was watching a Facebook Live and I went to Twitch.
Twitch is more fun.
So I'm one of those people.
But Willie over here wants to know, if KronOz could get in the ring with any hip-hop artist, who would you like to fight?
50 Cent.
Ooh. That's why? Now I want to know why.
Well, it's not even that I want to beat him up. It's because I want to see him. I feel like he'd probably be a good match. Like size wise, he seems like he's pretty strong, and he's petty as hell. So I don't know. He's actually one of my favorite rappers as well. Get Rich or Die Trying is one of my favorite albums. But
it's a good
I think
album.
just off the top of my head, probably that's what I think of. Just I guess because I always wondered, like, you know, he seems like he could fight, where a lot of them probably don't.
So yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, have you had time to send them CDs yet? That's just from PMC and Network. KronOz, have you had time to send me them CDs?
Oh no, I haven't sent them yet. Yeah, I've been on the road with those shows, but I'll get them sent this week.
So the subtlety there is y'all can go buy some KronOz CDs, and he's shipping them international all across the world. And then this is where Braden DeBars looks cool, and he's like, bro, check out all these CDs I got from all of my homeboys. And I'm like, fair enough. His little CD collection of people he knows is growing, and it's like, that's what it is, right? Look at y'all doing it.
Go.
So I mean, that's fucking blessed shit. He's got them ready to go. So if y'all want to cop that, y'all can hit up KronOz. His link's been popping around throughout the whole chat the whole time. They'll pop around in another little bit if you haven't seen them. And in the future, people, if you stuck through this far, you should cop that album. It's down below on the fucking description of the video. So all your links are plugged. You don't have to worry about that.
Man, appreciate that, man. Yeah, you're more than welcome to send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and I'm more than happy to ship them over to you guys. I appreciate it.
Honestly, I don't know why artists spend so much, like why people don't just automate the plugging process. Like, bro, the Twitch has shit. It's gonna be in the video after. I mean, I guess maybe, but even like YouTube and shit, you can pin the fucking comment with all the socials. like just set it up. Then nobody has to go, okay, y'all can follow me at blah 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 blah. Nobody's like, you know, like.
Yeah, no one listens. You might, if there's 10 people listening, one person might pay attention quick enough to say, okay, this guy spelled his name KRON with a capital OZ because At one
Yeah,
time, he liked to smoke. I mean, I don't know.
that's fair.
Father of time,
That's
who
fair.
knows?
Yo, Willie's saying if you send him a shirt, he'll wear it on Kicking It Live.
Yeah, I got you, man.
So yeah, I'm not. Yo, it's 13 of y'all. So yeah, do y'all, let me know if y'all have any other questions for him. I'm curious to know about your live experiences that you said you've had. Have you performed live throughout COVID? I forgot to ask you that question, and I had meant to earlier. Have you been performing throughout the COVID life? Because my restrictions were like curfews, as in from December to like May, there was an actual, quite literal, you can't go outside at night curfew, level curfew. So,
Damn.
what was your like? Were you able to perform? Were you able to do different things?
Yeah, especially being in Texas, it's a little more laid back as far as the regulations. Not as much as Florida, but we were. I think we started up shows again. I performed. I want to say in June of last year at a couple shows,
Okay.
but it wasn't like full capacity and it had to be outdoors. But they were still allowing it to happen like smaller venues. It's a private place. They say, hey, have at it. So I performed at rest in peace, Busta Ben High from over here in West Texas. They had a Busta Fest. He had died, I think, 2017, 2018, and so they're having a festival for him every year. So I got to perform over there with Trouble because I mean he's been performing 15, 20 years. He promotes, brings a lot of people down. He travels all over the country. He just got back from California, doing some stuff over there for the music, and so I got to. He said, "Hey, you've been working in that song that me, him, and Twisted Insane did, the computer screens." He said, "You want to come on my set and then perform your verse that you did on that song?" Because he did the hook and he did a badass verse on it to match Twisted's. It's a dope song. I think between all three verses, that was the fourth verse I ever wrote. And that's how I kind of got onto my first show too. He said, "Hey, you want to perform that verse up there on stage with me for the festival?" So yeah, and he's like, and I'll take one of my songs out, and he's like, just pick a song you want to perform, and perform one of your solo songs as well. So like the crowd that comes to watch me, they'll know you.
Yo, that's serious.
Showing a little bit of love. So I
Uh,
got to perform there and had a good response, and then from there I performed I think in about eight different cities.
Man, you're fucking popping off hard for a guy who's been in this game for so little time. Okay, it's because of the whole rest of your career, everyone. Okay, like, I think there's maybe something to that though, like to starting late. You know, to like
Yeah, I mean I
securing
don't
that
really have
foundation.
I gotta, I mean, either come with it or let it go. Basically, I mean,
No, but
if it's
like,
something that
man, I have a relatively not probably as good as yours fiscally speaking, but relatively decent career for like where I'm at in life. It's not amazing. I would like to do better. I'm not doing that great with money. Let's be fucking real. It's but good enough to create enough opportunities to create like a snowball effect that wouldn't have been possible had I not been in the position to not be doing so well. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, like that's kind of like like a blessing, but then you realize not everyone has that opportunity. And it's like, okay, so a lot of the things I might be flexing on are just privilege. And I'm like, or opportunity or things that have happened in my life that didn't happen to other people. Whereas, like, I don't know, it just makes me think about it. Like, maybe there's a lot of power to building that foundation and not rushing into shit and then just taking like fucking 10 years to prepare your life to be able to just fucking blast the fuck off and do it. And yo, shout out everyone with the question still. So Willie's asking, what was the fastest he ever won a wrestling match? My uncle won the GMAA heavyweight class with a fireman's carry, 13 seconds, and it's 2-1 Lightning. Boo. Anyway.
lightning. I think probably about 17 seconds. I was able to get a pin off of a double leg. Just basically first lock up, drop down for a double leg, run the pipe, and just luckily was able to stick it. But yeah, to be honest, most of my matches they didn't come quick, and a lot of them weren't by pin because I mean I went against a lot of really technical guys. I just kind of neutralized it with my athleticism and aggressiveness. But yeah, I usually got a lot of points from getting the takedowns, taking the back, and setting things up. But I had a hard time finishing a lot of pins. But every now and again, I'd get to stick them down.
So that's dope. The next question is from Lindell. Who is the go-to as far as martial arts and music, which I believe you said Ritz, so other people that are not named Ritz.
As far as my music,
Yeah, your favorites.
mm, I really enjoy. I mean, being from Texas and enjoying the whole that kind of era. I'm a huge Zero fan, in which it's funny how music and MMA kind of connect because Zero's from Houston, and then the guy I was telling you about, Derek the Black Beast Lewis, who's fighting for the UFC heavyweight title. He's actually in a couple of Zero songs, referencing a song in one of his music videos. So it's kind of cool seeing those two worlds come together. One of my favorite musicians and a fighter I got to watch fight as an amateur all the way now to world champion type of thing. But yeah, I really like Zero. I like old Lil Wayne. Whenever I was younger, I listened to a lot of Lil Wayne. I do enjoy that. I listened to Jelly Roll is one of my favorites recently. I love West Coast, the Exhibit, Nate Dogg. You know who Dimrick is?
Maybe. What's a maybe?
Dimrick Dimrick and Dizzy Wright, but I got the...
I know. Okay, yes, I do know. Yes, when you said Dizzy Wright, it clicked. I do, yes.
Yeah, I got to... luckily, a few years ago, I was working in the Bay, and I was supposed to leave on a Wednesday, fly back home from work. And then they're two of my favorite rappers, too. I mean, just depending on that... If I'm in that kind of vibe, that mood for the music.
And who are your favorite martial artists?
Favorite martial artist? I guess in MMA, like I really like Anderson Silva's probably my favorite MMA fighter of all time. I kind of loved watching him, especially in his prime. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching Matt Hughes. One of my good buddies, Bubba McDaniels, was on the Ultimate Fighter as well. So he's still out there. He's like, I think 36, 37. He's still doing his thing. He's from small town in Wichita Falls, Texas. So that's one of our buddies. So I'd say he's one of my favorite fighters too.
That's fair.
Shout out. I was on that. I did that Watch Your Step video, and he has a little cause right now. It's a Justice for Wilder thing. His son was murdered by someone. They're still trying to get justice because the guy had a lot of money. So that's why I kind of like to plug that in every now and again too, and just to bring some awareness to him.
Fair enough. I appreciate that. Willie's like, I love the sports talk, and I have questions before your question. I'm not as thrilled with the sports talk. I'm rolling with the sports talk. This is me sportsing. I know what a George St. Pierre is because he's in Montreal and he trains at my it's like my aunt's kid's uncle, like not really my like uncle and somebody, whatever. That guy trains with George St. Pierre at the gym, so like I know that he exists.
Nice. Yeah, man, that dude's a hell of a wrestler and a great athlete, man.
Yeah, TriStar. That's the gym that he trains at.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's another guy that fought for this organization called Legacy. It's a feeder league, like regional professional fight league. And the guy that's the matchmaker for the UFC now, we had dinner with him at Hooters with my old sponsor that sponsored me. I lived with them for a while. My buddy Scott Parker, and he knew this guy, and that's how we met all these people like Derek Lewis. And but there's a guy named Sage Northcutt. He is like a younger kid, and he's from Houston as well. He went and trained up there with Pierre recently. I think like a year ago, up at TriStar a year or two.
That's fresh. TriStar was like right next to where I was day jobbing for a very long time, so I always thought it was like seriously weird that I would just be like passing by this like super noteworthy place in the world of MMA that's just so fucking low key that you wouldn't know it exists unless you knew it exists.
That's same way with Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's where Jackson's gym is, Jackson and Winklejohn, where they have John Jones, and they've had all sorts of great fighters come out of that little place.
The next question is from Ismail. Are you thinking of selling vinyls of your music in the future?
Yes, I would like to get some vinyls. They're a little bit, it's a little more expensive to kind of put together and everything. So I'm wanting to kind of just build a legit following, people that really, I guess, appreciate that. Because I mean, it's as far as monetizing, it's hard to make money off of vinyls because they're expensive.
Like I know the per unit price is like $50 and some bullshit, but like man, for like every 100 people that'll buy a CD wanna buy a vinyl is the real facts of that economics. Like you'll get somebody to buy 4 fucking CDs before they'll buy 1 vinyl on the fucking real. Next question is also from Ismail. Bro, you're getting questions, man. People don't always ask questions. It's like to this level is what I'm trying to say. Um,
I like to interact with everyone else, so keep them coming for real.
the African artists you are collaborating with are from which countries?
Um, one of them for sure is from Kenya. I don't want to. I'd have to definitely look up and see because I don't want to mess up someone's providence or their
Right.
little cities and countries. I don't want to
That's still blessed.
disrespect them like that. So I don't want to. I don't want to completely guess. The other one says Big Ben, Big Ben, Swaziland. Might be
Mm.
butchering that.
No, it's not even that bad. Not that I'm the authority on how to say that correct. That's fresh stills, man. Yo, you're getting me excited at the idea of networking across borders. Um, yo, believe it or not, the next question comes from Lance on the good MC. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Straight up, that's my kind of guy right there. Um, then, did he know Anderson Silva was trained by Steven Seagal?
Oh yeah, I see. I think he trained with him before. Whenever he got that front snap kick and knocked him out, I think maybe 7, 8 years ago. I remember him highlighting that, saying he had trained with them before that fight and trained with them in the past. So
Alright. Fair enough. That doesn't mean a lot to me, but I appreciate you answering the question still. I know I'm not the best at questions I don't connect with the answers.
no worries, man.
So
I
from
understand.
the King of Canada, King Canada, I'm not going to go with King of Canada. King Canada. I'm like,
The
wait
King
a
of
second.
Canada.
I'm not putting that dude above me on this shit. Fuck King Canada. That's a different thing. I know KronOz has seen a lot of live shows. Who was the most disappointing show you went to see? And then who's the
Hobson.
best show? Who? Did you say?
Hobson's the most
Oh,
disappointing show.
he's one of my least favorites. Please do tell.
Yeah, because I listened to Funk Volume a lot because, like I said, I was a big Dizzy Wright fan, and I also like Hobson too. And then I listened. I had a period where I listened to his music a lot, and then I went and seen him live. It was him, Jaron Benton, and Dizzy Wright, and it was very underwhelming. Just, I don't know. It wasn't.
That's
I don't know, it just
amazing.
wasn't that great. And my overall live show, and yeah, hip hop aside, just favorite show. Probably Disturbed.
I saw Disturbed.
Yeah, Disturbed. I seen him in Dallas at the
Which tour
Airlines
is it?
Arena. 2 years ago, I think it was. I've got the
Oh, new Disturbed.
little flag and stuff out there too in my man cave, and just had to get it hung it back up since we moved. Can't remember which one it was. It was like a black and turquoise green.
Oh yeah, so definitely we're gonna
Right.
answer it. But yo, Disturbed is sick, man. He fucking comes out on this fucking tied up on this shit, and he's just like fucking like an asylum patient, and then they fucking rip it. Yo, the band that opened for them was Skindred. Absolutely outperformed Disturbed. Stole all the crowd energy. It was fucking lit. But yo, seeing
Nice.
Disturbed, yo, then they did the whole show, and then the show ended. I'm like, where's Down with the Sickness? They didn't play Down with the Sickness. And then you just hear this crazy drum solo, and you're just all hopeful the whole time. Like, please do it. And then it just flows into that familiar drum pattern, and you're like, oh my god, it's happening. And it's just the latest. You have to see this
Yeah.
on live at least once in your life. Like, it's not, you can't exist without it one time, you know?
It's one of those that gives you little goosebumps. The one we were at was pretty cool because they came out there, rolled out the piano right in the middle, and was out there at the piano, and then they had stuff. I mean, we're at the basketball arena, so it's pretty high. They're dropping from the ceiling on fire, like
Oh,
these
shit.
flames like falling from the ceiling, and then there's like cool flames all around the whole like giant stage they got there. It was really kind of surreal feeling. It was pretty neat. And also, I think Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson was a close second. That was a pretty intense show.
I feel like at this time I'd fuck with Rob Zombie a lot. Rob Zombie's underrated as fuck. For real.
His shows are crazy. His shows are crazy as hell.
So now you have to say your best hip hop show, because what I appreciate Disturbed as an answer. The people want to know.
I don't know. Like it just all depends on the timing. Because I mean, I've seen seen so many of them. They're great ones. Like Bone Thugs is my all-time favorite group, and I've seen them a handful of times. But still, I mean, they were good. But I really enjoyed it. But I couldn't say it's my favorite. I think probably my favorite show would probably be Tech Nine, and the whole show as a whole, and it was at a small venue. 'Cause I was really into it at the time. It was at Tech Nine and Chris performed. Ritz was there, Seth's crew, Mayday, Stevie Stone. That was a really good show. And then, but Tech Nine and Chris Calico at the Gathering was pretty awesome too.
Tech Nine was Bring the Bars' his favorite one as well. Other questions are or questions, because I guess people like or questions. Tech Nine or Master Ace from Willie Scandals.
Tech Nine.
Easy answer for me too. Absolutely. Ismail brings up a much harder one. Rakim or Big Daddy Kane?
Rakim.
Yeah, but Big Daddy Kane is the best shitty love songs of all time, right? Like, I'm not afraid. Oof. Nah, I'm gonna have to give that to Big Daddy Kane just because that. And I know that's not the reasons y'all want, but they're the reasons.
Yeah.
So then, seriously, the questions just keep fucking coming. Lindell, besides putting all your effort into making albums, the next thing would be putting all your effort to shows you end up with Hobson. Oh, that's a suggestion. Hobson, answers like that. He's saying you got to work on your show game, but he's not seen you perform. Do you practice your show game? Do you get like a room and run through your sets and all that shit?
I do, but yeah, I definitely need to. I definitely have a lot to improve on. I feel like, but I've heard good and bad things about different parts, and I feel like it is just like my music. I feel like it's getting better, but there's a lot I have to improve on and learn each show. So that's definitely something I want to focus on. But yeah, same thing goes back with the 4 kids and full-time job and wife and everything and family. It's hard to put as much energy into it as I can, as I need to be a perfectionist to actually like rock a crowd of 100,000 people. I definitely have to step my game up.
Yeah, I absolutely understand what you're saying, man. Because like, frankly, like it's hard to do as much as I want to do. I have way more ideas than I have time to like deliver on those ideas. Even like practicing my music is like, fuck me. I have to go memorize my own songs. Apparently, you have the KronOz slide.
That must be JP.
That was Mr. LeMay over there.
Okay. Yeah, because I seen JP the Pompafillion comment because I performed this sports bar over in Lubbock this weekend. I did that song "Rolling Around." I slid across the stage.
That's amazing. So yeah, I don't know how much more I can stretch this. My like fucking body is killing me on this fell off my bike shit. That's the real truth of this shit. I gotta stand the fuck up and walk around a bit. But yo, I appreciate all of you watching this. I appreciate you coming through. I look forward to seeing your new music, your growth. Like your whole fucking energy to life is ridiculously amazing. Honestly, that's the right word for it. I appreciate you, this conversation, you sharing as much shit. You just rolled with it in the perfect way and made this fucking easy for me. So I like that. It just made my life easier. Thank you all for
I
fucking.
Appreciate it too, man. I had a good time.
That's good to hear, man. And thank y'all for watching, because y'all stuck through it. That's truly dope of all of you for hours.
Thank you guys.
That's always humbling. Thank y'all in the future watching this, because y'all are also good. Y'all be able to cop that shirt soon is what I understand, because somebody's gonna be buying or selling that shit somewhere. But yeah, special thanks.
Tampa Bay or 4th of July people. Tampa Bay or 4th of July people.
That's it. Tampa Bay people, they're gonna want that shit. Special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Powder, Jonathan Burns, DJ Black, Eric, and Linda Williams. Scribble, dope, support what we do. If you want to support what we do and you're on Twitch with the free Amazon Prime, you can always do that little subscribe-y poo. And if otherwise, patreon.com/behindthatsuit. With that, it's super fun. It was great to have y'all. I'm gonna start the raid. Live long and prosper, everyone. And